Yeah, it's your boy PSA Sitch here with oh my God, what day is it? It's Wednesday. Wednesday
Yeah.
stream. Look
We
at
need a
that.
new look, we need a new intro, okay? That's
Adam is
like
like, you can only do Hey Nows on Sunday. And I'm
well,
like,
it's not real
what?
we're not really doing a show here and like it's
Wait,
kind of
whoa. We're doing a stream. What do you mean?
it's silly to log on and well, look, I'm not do you have a show prepared?
Yeah, we're gonna look through the Gina Carano lawsuit, I thought.
Okay. Is that a show?
Yeah.
Okay.
Every day is the show, baby.
Okay.
Except for Saturdays. So,
Well,
okay.
look, we're trying something new here. Obviously, we're streaming every single day. Some people seem super enthusiastic about it.
hmm
This sort of began with look, we don't necessarily, we're in uncharted territory here. So we don't know whether it's going to continue or not continue. So look, right, Sitch? I mean,
That's
basically,
right.
we're
We'll see. We'll
trying it
see. It
out. Yeah.
depends on whether you guys like it or not, whether it makes sense for us to do. So,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I think the goal is to grow our channel. So I'm skeptical this is the way to do it, but this is the way everybody seems to do it. So
Mhm.
we'll see what happens.
There's a couple things we could talk about quickly before we get into the Gina Carano lawsuit. Because the reason I want to go over it is I want to go over it, read the complaint, and see whether we think the audience, thinks it will be successful or not, or if there's possibly a different motivation that has nothing to do with about the
Hmm.
success of the lawsuit itself.
Yes. Which I've already given you what I think is going on here. So,
Right, but we'll talk about that
yeah.
on stream.
Right.
Okay, so this is kind of interesting. I don't know if you saw this, but Donald Trump has come out recently and asked the audience, his audience, the MAGA country, to forgive Anheuser-Busch, aka Bud Light. Is that not very bizarre?
I saw the tweet and I thought it seemed very reasonable to me.
hmm
Yeah.
I
They
know, isn't that what
are
makes it bizarre?
they are a completely conservative company for all intents and purposes who
Hmm.
stepped in it. Yeah, exactly. So
hmm
he's basically making the argument, does the punishment fit the crime, right?
Right.
And I mean, maybe it does. I'm not sure. See, I'm down with putting Bud Light out of business. I'm down with I'm down with making them pay, right? I think even if it is a conservative company, who cares? You got to
hmm
let people know. Look, left, right, center. You going to do stuff that pisses off your audience? You're going to go out of business, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
Well,
he's
mhm.
obviously trying to fundraise and he's like, look, I'm trying to raise money for president here. And now I can't call Anheuser-Busch. You bastards.
Right. If so I remember when this was going on, I don't I was fine, so boycott them, go for it. Culture war victories, go for it. I don't remember what it was exactly, but Bud Light sort of signaled that they were gonna they I remember they put out some statement where they were signaling that they were gonna go back to the conservative roots. And I was like, okay, maybe then it would have made sense to sort of like have Trump or someone else come out and say, let's like forgive them. But then the conservatives didn't forgive them, and then Budweiser continued doing more kind of woke shit after that. And I was like, oh, okay, so I guess they didn't learn a lesson. But it's weird to me that Trump is kind of doing this now because Budweiser like Anheuser-Busch hasn't done anything like recently to sort of like try to move away from this. And why is Trump personally decided to enter into this situation? Right? Like, I'm assuming he's not just doing this out of the goodness of his heart. He didn't just wake up one morning and say, I think it's a dang shame what they did to
This
Anheuser-Busch.
look, this is so obvious to me. Anheuser-Busch said, look, Trump is running for president. We usually give to the Republican Party. We're in a quandary here because we've literally been annihilated by mostly Republican voters. They
hmm
reach out to Trump and say, listen, we got a big fat campaign contribution here just waiting for your campaign. Maybe you could make it worth our while. Maybe a little tweet or something saying we're not Satan incarnate. What do
I
you say,
see.
buddy?
So Anheuser-Busch is basically paying off Donald Trump to say, Get your voters to forgive us,
Does this
essentially.
not seem
I mean, that
like
would be my guess as to
the
what's
the
happening there,
occasion
but
you're talking about? Like, what's the occasion?
sure.
Donald Trump running for president. That's the occasion. Republicans running, you know, various Republican senators running, their election time is coming up. It's an election year.
Hmm.
The all of Congress replaces every 2 years. It's an election year for every single Republican congressman, right? If Donald Trump says, listen, I can help out Anheuser-Busch and they'll start donating to your Republican campaigns and maybe you can like help me kill this border bill. Like, let's do a little business here. Let's do a little horse trading. This is how it works, Sitch.
Well,
Welcome to
you
politics.
you might be correct because here's an article that talks about this. Trump's message comes as top Republican lobbyist for the company, for Anheuser-Busch, is set to host a fundraiser for the former president next month, with some tickets going for $10,000 each. Look at
Look at
that.
this.
Jeff Miller, a close confidant of former Speaker Kevin McCarthy, who built his Washington business during the Trump years, announced on X, formerly Twitter, on Tuesday that he'd be hosting this fundraiser. The event is set to feature dozens of members of Congress and Republican leadership, as well as Donald Trump Jr.
There's gambling in Casablanca? Is this not exactly that?
I mean, that's what it seems like. It seems like it's a very obvious payoff, but okay,
Welcome to
people are
politics, guys.
people are on board with it, I guess. I don't know. Miller,
Yeah.
of course, declined to comment, as did Anheuser-Busch.
Of course they did. Look, that's the difference. They're not going to come out and tell you what I just told you.
Of
I mean, it's
course.
all true, but they're
Right.
not going to say it. Why would they? And
Right.
why would they? It's not beneficial for them to say it, right? They want the people who are noobs to politics. They're all team players. They're all tribalists. They got their face painted up with the Republican color or the Democrat color. They're like there to cheer. They
Hmm.
don't need to see behind the matrix. They don't want to know how this actually works.
Right.
They want to think my team is principled. The other
Yeah.
team is evil.
Yep. Unfortunately, no team has principles. At least, well, I should say no politician has principles. So,
Of course not.
okay. So that
That,
was just a
that
little funny thing, and that was interesting. Did
did
you have
you
anything?
look?
What?
Did you look that article up while I was? Look,
No,
I
I
didn't.
actually knew that that article existed, and I was being somewhat facetious when I was asking
Okay.
why this was happening now.
Look, I want for the record. For the
Yes.
record, I did not read any article on this topic. I'm just look. This is how politics works.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
basically predicted the article before I ever saw it. Ever all I know about this is I saw Donald Trump's tweet. I read the
Yeah.
tweet. That's it.
Mhm. There
But
you
look,
go.
you don't need to read the article. You know people's motivations here.
It's true.
That's how
It's
it
true.
works.
Okay. So here's a little kind of funny, interesting thing. Do you want to bring up Matt Gaetz's tweet I sent you real quick?
Yes, I will.
Okay. Because I was listening to, of course, as I do, though I might change this. I usually listen to Scott Adams pretty
Mhm.
regularly, and unfortunately, he's kind of going more and more down the like rabbit hole of listening to conspiracy theorist people or people that say like the craziest things online. So he's kind of
Yeah.
slowly, maybe he's always been there. I don't know.
He's
Maybe he's
always
been there for
been
a while. I'm not sure.
he's been oh man. Like poor Sitch. He really likes Scott Adams.
He always says things I like are intelligent sometimes, and he pushes back on his audience sometimes, and then sometimes he's just in la la land. So, but listen, no one's perfect, right? No one is perfect.
Well, I mean, some of
Oh,
us are, but
Dwight Baldwin for $5 has another good point regarding the Bud Light thing. He says Bud Light also hired Shane Gillis as a spokesperson. That is true. That did happen. So, Shane Gillis, who was, canceled for being, not woke and saying supposedly like ethnic slurs when he was doing jokes, which is his job as a comedian, is to do jokes.
mhm.
And Shane Gillis has been kind of attacking a lot of the woke stuff recently. So, I mean, definitely there's a lot of signaling from Bud Light that they're trying to go in a completely different direction.
Which they should.
They should, yeah, it would make
Yeah.
sense.
Look, they need to be the anti-woke beer.
Okay, anyway, Matt Gaetz. So Matt Gaetz tweeted this out. I want you guys to like tell me what you think about this. So he's responding to a tweet that says, sources familiar with the RNC tell me that Kevin McCarthy is the dark horse candidate choice to replace Ronna McDaniel as RNC chairman due to his fundraising ability. Now, if you recall, Kevin McCarthy was the leader of the House Republican Party, or I'm sorry, was the leader of the Republicans in the House, and he got ousted. He got ousted for trying to make a deal on the debt ceiling and the budget and all that stuff.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is a comedy tweet, right?
Right. So Matt Gaetz tweeted out, I fully endorse Kevin McCarthy for RNC chair. Kevin is well organized and a very high revenue fundraiser. He will also be well liked by the RNC committee. The RNC chair doesn't make any policy decisions, set any agenda, or negotiate against Democrats ever. Kevin would be terrific. So, is this like a serious tweet or a sarcastic tweet? What do you think?
Well, Matt Gaetz single-handedly ousted this guy.
That's
So,
true. That's
yeah.
true.
So maybe he's doing a little ha ha sucker, remember me? Remember me? It's the guy with the knife. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm here twisting it on Twitter just to mess with you.
Mm-hmm. So what do you guys read? Do you guys read this as like trolling or sincere, huh?
Or
Which
this
one?
could be, look, you left us with one less vote in the House. Please come back. I'm so sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I I pissed you off. This could be that.
Okay.
This
Okay.
could be like the I went look, I'm sorry I slept with your sister. Please come back to me.
Okay. So I'm just gonna say I read this as entirely sarcastic, like
Okay.
100% sarcastic. The top tweet under it is the number of conservatives that didn't get the humor or joke in this post is why we lose elections. But the only reason I looked this up is because Scott Adams said he thought this tweet was 100% sincere, and he was giving Matt Gaetz a lot of accolades for this tweet,
Oh my
saying,
god.
I really appreciate that Matt Gaetz, can like destroy someone for like very non-personal reasons and then support them. It shows like a good level of the content of his character. And I was like, okay, I don't know about that one, but
This is why, look, this is why I don't listen. No, the reason I don't listen to Scott Adams is because 90% of his show is
yeah.
asking his chat question, which is like, why do I care what some random chatter says?
Well, I mean, I listen.
But
I don't
you,
not 90%, like 20%. Let's come on, come on.
95%.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. But look, and also he's kind of really, I mean, he's drank the partisan Kool-Aid. Look, we keep each other honest here, Sitch. If we
Mhm.
were if we were engaging in this activity solo, we might be tempted by the fruit of the tribalist tree. But we both keep each other honest, and I think Scott Adams does not have anyone in his life to keep him honest. He's a total tribalist now.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
The
I
reason
don't know if it's just that the people that he trusts for information
are
have all,
tribalists.
yeah, they're very tribalist. They're just lost. So I don't know if you can hear this. I don't know what's going on. It's like someone has like their motorcycle parked outside my window and they're just like revving it. I have no fucking clue what's happening. But I
I
don't know
hear
if it's
absolutely none of it.
okay.
So, but
This is why we use Zoom. People ask why do you use Zoom? That's why we use Zoom. Like the ability for Zoom to like cut out all this stuff is just incredible.
yes, and we've had like very few internet disturbances as well,
Right.
where it seems like every time I listen to some Discord panel, it's like someone on the panel has having trouble with Discord.
Right. Right. Okay. Then the last thing before we look into the
This
Gina
might be
Carano
a
thing.
show, man. This is actually fun, Sitch. I take back what I said
Yeah,
in the
there you go.
beginning.
See, look, don't be grumpy.
This is way more fun than Scott Adams' stupid show.
Okay, that's good, of course.
And our chat is like 20 times smarter than Scott
That
Adams'
is
chat
true.
too.
And Scott Adams himself. There you go.
This is what Scott Adams constantly says on his show. Can I get a fact check?
Can I get a fact check? I mean, listen, there's nothing wrong with
You're
asking
getting
a
a
chat
fact
for
check
fact
from your
checks.
chat.
No, no, it's fine. Listen, it's fine. It's fine.
Why do I look? How do you trust a fact check from the chat?
Well, just to like put you in the right direction, maybe. Not necessarily like trust it, but just say like, oh, tell me what direction to look, right?
Right, totally. But wouldn't you fact check that fact check from the chat?
Yeah,
Scott
of
Adams
course.
doesn't,
Okay, that's fair. Well, he
right?
does sometimes. I don't know. It's weird. Sometimes he'll push back really hard on his chat. Okay. Let me be a little fair to Scott Adams here, right?
Right.
So if he's talking about a subject that he actually knows about, he will push back against the chat and he won't toe the party line or the tribal line, and he'll be pretty good. But when he's talking about things he doesn't know about, it's kind of like the Gallimantinesia for the media. Like he'll just like buy into like the craziest shit ever, usually.
Hmm. Someone just sent me a tweet about the Gina Carano situation.
Okay. Well, one more thing I want to read very quickly before the Gina Carano, we get into it.
Okay,
Uh,
I'll send you the. I'm gonna DM you the tweet.
okay.
So
Michael Tracy tweeted this out yesterday. Michael Tracy, who is a man who I feel like his job is to just be wrong on the internet usually. But okay.
yeah, what he? How do you pick contrarian to always be wrong? Like what?
Yes.
How is that? Like he's very good at it.
Yes. He says prediction. Tucker Carlson's interview with Putin will be more probing and adversarial than any standard interview of Trump on Fox News or Biden on MSNBC.
Right. Okay.
Do you believe
Yes.
this?
No. Zero
Okay.
credibility.
We'll find out if that turns out to be true. It'll be an
The
interesting.
only reason Putin agreed to the interview is because I'm sure they negotiated what questions could be asked in advance.
Mhm.
I'm sure all of that took place. He knows he's got like a friendly interviewer here. Did you watch the interview I sent you from, I think it's like NBC or CBS or I can't. That interview is actually contentious
Between who?
between Putin and the interview. I don't know.
Oh,
The
yeah, I
interviewer
have
is
seen
not.
that. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, Putin is like, dog, why you keep asking me these hard questions?
Hmm.
He's not used to it. You can tell he's totally knocked off his game. No one in Russia ever asked him hard questions
Of course
because
not.
they're going to end up in a gulag.
Right. Okay. Let's
Oh my.
look at the Gina Carano lawsuit here. So I sent you a link. I don't know if you want to look through it while I'm reading through some of the parts, but so Gina Carano, if you guys don't know, if you don't know, Gina Carano was is an actress who was on the Mandalorian show. She's also in Deadpool. She's pretty hot. She used to be an MMA fighter. And she started to get in trouble for very, very stupid reasons. It started with people were criticizing her for not putting her pronouns in her bio.
That was the first thing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Activists on Twitter came to her and said, "How come you don't have your pronouns in your bio?"
Yeah, she's
And
like, what?
yeah, so she put beep, bop, boop in her bio
After people were harassing her about it.
after people were harassing her about it. Like, obviously, look, she's a female fighter. Okay. She probably has very high psychological reactance. Psychological reactance create that feeling that you get when someone tells you you can't do something and you're like, fuck that. I'm going to do it right now.
Hmm.
So she probably scores very high on that. You know, women generally their entire lives are told, don't fight with other people, okay? Don't get physical, right? She's
Hmm.
a fucking MMA fighter. Okay.
Right.
So she's probably scores high on this stuff. But so yeah, they told her put why no pronouns, and she was like, I'll put beep bop boop in.
There you
That
go.
was the beginning of the end.
They got very mad at that, and then they also started harassing her because she didn't have like a BLM tag in her bio and wasn't
Oh
openly
no.
supporting BLM. So, that was like the second strike, the great offense.
Oh ouch.
And then, after that, she started posting stuff like comparing woke people to Nazis and things like that. And it just kind of, snowballed from there until eventually she was fired. I believe, if I recall correctly, the post that broke the camel's back was she posted some like comic that was like a conspiracy comic about like people running the government or like the world government, right? And people were saying it was somehow it was anti-Semitic. And I remember looking at it and saying, I don't see how it's anti-Semitic. I mean, I guess you could squint at it and like make it anti-Semitic, but it doesn't seem to be the case. I don't think that was her case. So they essentially fired her for that, for her social media behavior.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. You forgot the most important part of the story.
What's that?
When Adam laid out this story on Twitter
Yeah.
and someone decided to go over to Reddit and make it sound like Adam didn't know what he was talking about. Don't
Oh,
you
that's
remember?
right. Who was
Yeah.
that individual?
Brianna Wu.
Wow.
Yes.
Can't
So
believe she
I
did
laid
that.
out this story. I laid out, it's funny that Gina Carano's story is back in the news and that she's suing and all that because I laid out this timeline on Twitter and I said, she got fired for not putting pronouns in her bio, and Brianna Wu was like, oh ho 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 ho, she got fired for being anti-Semitic, and I was
Hmm.
like, well, yeah, that did happen, but it came at that the beep bop boop thing was the first chain in the chain of events that led to that. So,
Right.
but I was completely correct, and Brianna Wu was nice enough to apologize, even though she didn't delete the Reddit post. But whatever. But whatever. So it's interesting that this is back on the table. So
Right. Okay. Okay, so let's look at this complaint, the Gina Carano complaint, to see if we think this case is going to go anywhere.
well,
All
and
right.
I just want to say my understanding of the law is that you can fire people for their political beliefs, which is it's interesting.
Well,
You would think that
mhm.
you couldn't do that because you can't fire them for their religious beliefs, but you can fire them for their political beliefs. So I'm not sure this is going to go anywhere. The
Mm.
thing,
Yeah.
go ahead, you respond.
No, no, you finish.
Well, someone sent me a thing of a California employment law that supposedly says you can't fire people for their political beliefs.
Right. So, like on a federal level, you usually can fire people for basically anything other than race, religion, sex, right?
Right.
You use a pretty broad berth. You can, in most states, I assume, fire people on the basis of their political opinions. You could say, "Oh, I don't want to hire any Republicans or Democrats, and if I find out you are one, I can fire you." However, you are correct. Someone on Twitter sent you, which appears to be true, California Labor Code Section 1101 that says no employer shall make or adopt or enforce any policy, rule, or regulation that A, forbidding or preventing employees from engaging or participating in politics or from becoming candidates for public office, or B, controlling or directing or tending to control or direct the political activities or affiliations of employees. So
Bam! That's
that
why they
would
filed in California.
well, yeah. So that is answers part of the question as to maybe why this they filed in California. Obviously, Hollywood is in California, Disney, one of Disney's locations in California. So this if this is like obviously it would depend on how participating in politics and political activities has been defined in case law, but this would definitely seem to shine a potential ray of hope on a case that I thought at first glance would fail completely. So that's a good thing right there.
Yeah, my read of the situation, and look, if I was Elon Musk, look, maybe she can win in court. And a lot of people are saying, this is all about discovery at Disney. But I
Right.
think like we already pretty much know all the salacious DEI stuff at Disney. I mean, how many more, of these DEI reports can they uncover that just sound completely racist if you start substituting where they discriminate against white people for black people or Jewish people, right? We've
Hmm.
all seen these reports. How many are going to make that big an impact? But I do think a attractive young actress on the witness stand who got basically fired for the most milk toast political takes, that's going to seem completely unfair to people.
Yes.
And that I think is probably much more powerful than anything that they could find out in discovery. And look, if I was Elon Musk and I was backing this financially, I would make it this contingent on having that televised jury trial, and not allow anybody that I was backing to take a financial settlement. Because
Hmm.
I don't know how much Disney's willing to dish out to make a jury trial go away, because I mean, this jury trial is going to be, it's going to be like the Johnny Depp trial. It's going to be the trial of the century.
Well, it will be big, not quite that level, but it will be definitely a big thing. Especially on YouTube, everyone's going to talk about it. But I know I agree with you. If this goes to trial, even if she loses, it's probably going to make Disney look really bad, especially to conservatives. There is a potential that crazy shit will come out in Discovery regarding Disney. But yeah, but this law in California definitely, to me, at least appears to really give her a fighting chance here. Because when I first heard about this lawsuit, I kind of just shook my head and I was like, there's no way she has a case here, which is good because I like her as an act. Well, I don't really like her as an actress. I like her as a person fighting for free speech, I should say.
Oh my,
Okay.
she's a
I like,
great actress, Sitch. How dare you? How
listen,
dare you?
listen. She's a very beautiful lady. Okay. That's all I'm gonna, she's a very, very beautiful lady, but
We
her
got to bring
acting
up
needs a
that
little
fight
work.
scene.
Okay.
We got to bring up that fight scene. I can't remember what movie it's from, but it's so amazing.
Yeah, no,
Such an amazing
she's
fight
a
scene.
she's a very good fighter. She's very good in that kind of action star role. She's very hot, but she is not a very good actress. That's all, Listen, not everyone can do everything yet. Okay, you gotta know your strengths, right? Gotta know
So
your
do you think
strengths.
this look the court case of the century is probably overstating. It might be the
Yeah.
court case of the century for Disney. Like it's definitely going to make Disney look like giant pieces of garbage, right?
Right.
But look, do you think it has the potential to be as big as a Johnny? I guess not, because Johnny Depp is just like a huge A-list
Yeah, everyone
star.
know. Yeah, a lot of people. So like, I think it's going to be a big deal on legal tube and in legal
Yes,
spaces.
yes,
I don't.
and also Disney watchers.
Yeah, and Disney watchers, but like I don't we'll see. I don't know if the mainstream media is really going to cover it that much. Like if this was a black woman suing Disney for racism, they would cover it 24/7, but it's a conservative woman suing Disney for firing her for being conservative. So I feel like they're going to quietly try to ignore this as much as
Right?
possible.
Yeah, it's going to be on Fox News every day, but
Yeah, that's true.
I think there might be some good viral clips out of it. Obviously, just all the this all the pieces are in place. You know,
Hmm.
attractive woman, milk toast, conservative views, discrimination,
Right.
high profile company. It has all that stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. So let's jump into this.
So let's jump into the nitty gritty now.
Yeah, let's jump into the nitty gritty. I'm not going to obviously read the whole thing. I'm going to read just the parts that are interesting and relevant. Okay, this is the complaint that Gina Carano's lawyers have sent to Disney. Introduction. A short time ago, in a galaxy not so far away,
it
defendants made
really
it.
it really says that, guys.
It really says this. You can bring. I sent you a link. You can bring it up to see I'm not making this up. Okay. The
In a
the
galaxy not so far away. It's the one that we're living in, by the way.
yes.
FYI.
So the introduction paragraph here is written as if it's the title crawl of a Star Wars movie.
Which
Okay.
is kind of badass. I wonder if Elon insisted on
You
this.
know, listen, some people really like this. I call me an old-fashioned hater of fun. Okay. I
Oh,
listen, I always roll my eyes whenever I see lawyers trying to be cutesy in legal documents. I just go like, "Oh my God." I'm like Columbo. I'm like, "Just the facts, ma'am. I don't want some cutesy shit in my legal documents, okay?"
I
Sorry.
can't look. I can't believe no. I've watched a bunch of videos on this, and I can't believe no one has brought this up yet.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
because
Yeah.
the whole point of it is to bring this up.
Yes.
That's the
Yes.
reason to do this,
I
so
guess
people will
that's
talk about it.
true. Well,
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe it's too cringe, so people didn't want to bring it up.
that could be. That could be.
Okay, introduction. A short time ago, in a galaxy not so far away, defendants made it clear that only one orthodoxy in thought, speech, or action was acceptable in their empire, and that those who dared to question or failed to fully comply would not be tolerated. And so it was with Carano. After so dramatic. After two highly acclaimed seasons on The Mandalorian as Rebel Ranger Cara Dune, Carano was terminated from her role as swiftly as her character's peaceful home planet of Alderaan had been destroyed by the Death Star in an earlier Star Wars film.
This is so good. How can you look? It is cringy, but it's cringy in the right way.
Is it? Is it cringy the right way?
I think so. Yeah,
Okay.
you should do it in the like the room voice. Oh, hi, Steve.
Oh god. a short
After
time ago in a
two
galaxy not
highly
so far
acclaimed.
away. Oh, hi, Gina. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And all this because she dared voice her own opinions on social media platforms and elsewhere, and stood up to the online bully mob who demanded her compliance with their extreme progressive ideology. De- I mean, that's true. Defendants' wrath over their employees' social media posts also differed depending on sex. Even though the force is female, defendants chose to target a woman while looking the other way when it came to men.
Oh,
Now, this is an important part of the case, though I am skeptical it will succeed because they want to try to hit this from all angles. So besides the specific California law about maybe it being illegal to fire people for political reasons, if they want to try to make a sex discrimination case and say like, oh, they fired her, but they didn't fire the men who were doing the same thing, so therefore they're discriminating on the basis of sex. That's why they're kind of hitting at this angle.
yeah. They have to lay out a strategy though before they actually go to trial or anything. So
Right, right.
is this just like feeling out the defendant? Is that what's
Well, so a lot of times in these complaints, they're gonna like throw everything they possibly think could work, like,
in the
regardless
initial
of,
complaint, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like everything that will stick sometimes. But the rule of law still reigns over the defendant's empire. And Carano has returned to demand that they be held accountable for their bullying, discriminatory, and retaliatory actions, actions that have influenced not only substantial emotional harm, but millions of dollars in income. There you go.
Nice.
Okay. What do you guys think that intro was like cringy? Do you like it? That sort of
They
Star
love it,
Wars intro?
obviously.
I don't know. I'm not a, not a
Sitch is a
fan.
fuddy duddy.
I listen. I'm like the no fun allowed robot when it comes to reading legal documents.
Why?
Okay. I don't know. I just find it cringy.
Okay. Got to
Okay.
make your legal documents boring so Sitch enjoys them more.
Yes. Yes. I just want to get to the information. I don't want to read some lawyer like who wishes that they were a creative, writing student, like wax on poetically. Okay. Nature of the case. Now let me jump down to nature of the case. We
That's
need to
look
read.
that's what they should have done. And by the way, attached is my screenplay
Yeah,
of
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
see appendix C subsection D.
Attached to my screenplay, I think would make for a really good Disney sequel to Frozen 3.
Right.
Okay. So jurisdictions in California, you don't need to read that. Nature of the case. This is a civil action arising from defendant's wrongful termination of Carano's employment in retaliation for Carano's lawful exercise of her right to speak and express her views.
What page are
Specifically,
we on?
Hmm?
What page are we on?
Three, the bottom of
Okay.
three. Specifically, defendants under the regime of former Disney CEO Bob Chapek fired Carano because of her posts. The posts on various social media platforms, including X, known formerly as Twitter. I wonder how long that's going to have to be put in every fucking document. X, formerly known as Twitter.
Yeah.
Carano composed and published a post while she was off duty and away from the workplace. In her post, Carano expressed her personal political views, opinions, and beliefs. In retaliation for Carano's exercise of her free speech rights, defendants terminated Carano's employment and took other retaliatory actions to limit and deny her future employment opportunities, including, but not limited to, making maliciously false statements about Carano with the intention of damaging her reputation and thus her ability to find and retain work. So that's another interesting element of this that wouldn't necessarily be apparent from just just kind of like briefly looking over the story. There also appear to be suing for defamation here.
Yep.
So, which also could be another potentially strong claim depending on what they said. So we'll see because I talk about what they said in this.
I haven't been in a lot of legal entanglements. So they can throw like I was always under the assumption that you had to specify this is a defamation case, this is a wrongful termination case, this is like, you can file a complaint that's all of those things. I guess you can. Why
Yeah,
not
yeah.
if they do all of those things?
All your complaints in the one complaint
Right.
that you have
And then you
against
see
whoever.
which of those pass muster with the court.
Right.
Like they may accept the wrongful termination portion, but they're like, you don't really have a good defamation case here. So the
Right.
next thing you know, you're going to trial for wrongful termination.
Yes,
A lot of people
exactly.
are saying this is not going to make it to trial because she has absolutely no case here.
Well, so again, it would depend to me because I was unaware of this California law about
Right.
the you can't fire someone for political stuff. What does that mean exactly? Is that only been interpreted to someone running specifically for office or directly advocating for a politician? Or has that been ruled? Has there been case law in California that that also protects just like general speech about political issues? Because that would be very key.
Right.
So that, and I think her defamation, well, okay. Well, I guess I'll do a spoiler here. So I think her defamation claim, which we'll get into, I think is actually reasonably strong because in California, for civil defamation, you don't have to show that the person knew they were lying. You could just have that the person was kind of like reckless in their
Oh,
statement.
nice. They
Yeah,
definitely were reckless.
right.
Hell yeah.
They were very reckless, right? But big problem though. There's only a 1 year statute of limitations.
Oh no.
So
No.
yeah,
I
that might be
fucking
a
hate
problem.
statute of limitations. I fucking hate it.
Yeah,
I
so
hate it.
might be a little too late for that claim, but we'll see what happens. So,
There is a statute of limitations with any sort of medical malpractice, and all of the doctors will kind
mhm.
of try to lead you on for a year so that you're outside of the statute of
Right.
limitations.
That's funny. Yeah.
So look, if you have any sort of medical malpractice thing, don't wait. Don't fall for the doctor's like charm. Talk to an attorney immediately. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, unfortunately, that's been a thing that, the doctors' lobbyist groups have been very successful in a lot of states, getting those sorts of things passed. So,
Yeah, of course. You have some problem with appendectomy or something, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this will like that nerve damage will go away in a year."
yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it didn't go away in a year? Okay, well, sorry. Now you're
Uh,
outside the statute of limitations and you're
right.
totally screwed. Yeah.
Further defendants treated Carano differently than her similarly situated male coworkers, who likewise expressed their personal political views on social media, but upon information and belief were not counseled or disciplined, let alone terminated. Because defendant took action that harmed her in violation of the law of the state, Carano is entitled to relief sought therein. Okay. Okay, so so then they kind of talk about the parties involved. We don't need to read that. Then they talk about the factual allegations. We don't really need to see Gina Carano's life story. I'm assuming most people know who she is. Um,
It is kind of interesting that they have tweets from Pedro Pascal and they have tweets from
right.
like her. I guess that's not in this section. It doesn't look like.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to page 8,
Okay.
where halfway through it says defendants terminate Carano because of her speech. All of this came to an end on February 10th, 2021, when defendants announced through the media that Carano had been terminated from her role as Cara Dune and would not be hired for any other projects with defendants, all because she expressed her political opinions on social media. In announcing Carano's termination, Lucasfilms made the following public statement, quote, Gina Carano is not currently employed by Lucasfilms and there are no plans for her to be in the future. Nevertheless, her social media posts denigrating people based on their culture and religious identities are abhorrent and unacceptable.
Right.
Wow. Okay. So that would be where the defamation against Lucasfilm slash Disney would come in right there.
Right.
Because they're accusing her of being a big old bigot.
Yeah.
Defendant statements characterizing Carano's social media posts as degenerating people based on their culture and religious identities was false. It was also made with knowledge of its falsity, with the purpose of harming Carano and to distract from the defendant's illegal termination and treatment of Carano. So they make a very, very, very strong claim here in the complaint, saying that Lucasfilms knew that that statement was false. Now, unless they have some amazing evidence of this, I am skeptical that they could show that they knew it was false. I think
They
you'd have a
have to have
much
something, right? I mean, so she's got some
no, they don't have
email
to
or
have anything.
something.
They could just make that claim.
Oh, okay, so they can
Right.
make the claim and hope that it comes true in discovery, that they find
Yes.
some email saying what she said was not that bad, but we need to fire her for the pronouns.
Sort of. Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah.
Okay, so they're
Um,
fishing.
yeah, yeah, because I think that
Attorneys lying,
I
Sitch?
know.
Come
I know.
on.
Listen, they're not lying. They're just bending. Okay. They're hope. Because I think this is a strong case for that statement to be it is reckless. That is a very reckless statement. I would be skeptical that they would find any evidence that they intentionally knew it was false. But we'll see. We'll see if they can produce something. Defendants targeted, harassed, publicly humiliated, defamed, and went to great lengths to destroy Carano's career, all because she made political statements that did not align with what they believed was an acceptable viewpoint. Disney's then CEO Bob Chapek has been quoted as saying Carano was fired, quote, because she didn't align with company values. In doing so, Chapek said those company values are, quote, values that are universal, values of respect, values of decency, values of integrity, and values of inclusion. Oh my
Wow. So
God.
he's basically saying that she's disrespectful, she's indecent, she
Yes.
has no integrity,
Yes.
and she's a big old bigot.
Yes. Yep. The
Wow.
quadfecta right there. Yeah,
Dead to rights here.
I know. Chapek's statement that Carano does not stand for values of respect, decency, integrity, and inclusion is false. His statement was also made knowing it was false with the intent to harm Carano. But it also shows that Carano was fired not for her performance as an actress, but because her political opinions did not align with those of Disney management. So again, they say that he knew it was false. I'm skeptical, but I guess we'll find out what they got, if anything. Defendants also discriminated against Carano by treating her differently from her male co-stars, who also made public political statements on social media. Her male co-stars were not disciplined, let alone terminated, in a way to destroy their careers, even though some would find their statements abhorrent.
Yeah,
So,
I've seen some of those statements and they are
right.
abhorrent.
But here's the problem. So, like, there's the Pascal. Everyone points to the Pascal tweet that was like, was it comparing Trump to Hitler or something?
Yeah.
Um,
MAGA supporters to Nazis.
right. Mag sports and Nazis. So I think that like trying to hit this, I understand why they're trying to hit the sex discrimination claim, but I think that one's gonna to fail because in order for you to show usually that there's a sex discrimination thing, you have to show that there's two people doing basically the same thing, and so the only explanation
Is
is
that
that there was a sex
discrimination? Yeah.
discrimination, right? But since Pedro and these other people are attacking right wingers or Trump, and she's attacking left wingers or defending right wingers, that makes it so that the actions are very different,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And he
Good,
could,
great point.
right. So Disney could just say, hey, Disney could say one of two things. They could say, number one, well, we're not discriminating against Gina on her sex. We're discriminating against her based on her political belief,
Right. But that
which
would run afoul of the other law.
it would be, yeah. But I'm saying if it was a different state that didn't have that law, that would be like a defense.
Right. Yeah.
Um, the other possible defense could be something like, well, we're not firing her for her political beliefs. We're firing her because she was saying things that would hurt our brand and the audience won't like, right?
Sure.
But and maybe this is where the sex thing kind of comes into play because you could say, well, wait a minute,
Yeah.
how is it that her, not putting BLM stuff in her bio or doing porn stuff, how is it Disney saying that that's going to hurt the Disney brand, but Pedro Pascal saying that all Trump supporters are Nazis is not going to hurt the Disney brand, right? And
Yeah,
that's
that
where
is going to
maybe,
hurt the Disney brand and is
right,
hurting the
exactly.
Disney brand.
Right. And so that might be where sort of the sex discrimination claim might have a little bit more something
Yeah.
going on there. So
A little
we'll
bit more
see.
bite.
Yeah, a little bit more bite. Defendants harassed Carano for her political statements, subject her to vilification, and allowed other employees to harass her because of her political views. Yet defendants did nothing when her male co-stars made statements that many people would find equally, if not more, objectionable. So another thing here would be, and I don't know, and we'll find out during the course of this case, if if Pedro Pascal makes his comments or someone else makes some comments attacking the right and Trump, and Disney says, listen, don't put any don't say this shit on Twitter. And they agreed to do that. And then Gina does the same thing, and Disney tells her not to continue posting stuff on Twitter, and she does anyway. That would actually give Disney a lot of defense against the fact that that they did anything wrong. Because they say, well, we talked to the other employees who were criticizing the right, and we told them to stop doing this, and they did. If that is true.
Right.
Let's see. Defendants retaliated against Carano when she objected to the harassment and efforts to force her to adopt positions against her conscience. In addition to terminating her, defendants refused to hire her for her roles already promised, including, but not limited to, season 3 of The Mandalorian, the new series Rangers of the New Republic, and planned future Star Wars full-length feature films, which had been recently announced, all because her political beliefs and in disparate treatment from her male coworkers. Defendants' actions were calculated, malicious, and knowingly in violation of California's laws that protect employees such as Carano from discrimination because the employee's political views and her sex, parentheses, female, just in case you didn't know. Yeah, you got to specify. So, this is why I think this is why normally this is kind of actually interesting. And maybe this is because this was kind of, we're in peak woke world, sort of when this is all happening. Because normally when companies fire people, they just kind of give the very boilerplate, bland, standard, we fired this person or this person no longer works with us, and that's all. It doesn't really say why, right? It just says that they no longer work for us.
Right. They don't usually virtue signal on Twitter.
Not usually. Not usually. And part of the reason is because they don't want to get sued if they say something like this.
It's fucking dumb.
Yeah. So it is kind of interesting that both, because if it was just a Twitter person, which is still wrong, I would be like, okay, maybe they just some retarded young intern at Disney, wrote that, right? No, they'd
It
still be
says a
liable.
Disney spokesperson though.
Yeah, no, they'd still be liable, but right. But
Right.
I could see some young woke, total virtue signaling retard who is so politically motivated that they didn't run the statement through legal or they just did it anyway.
Right.
I could see
Sure.
that happening. But then you have the CEO, Bob Chipek, come in and he makes a very similar statement.
He makes it even worse.
Right. So it kind of is oh, okay. I guess they're just so egotistical that they think they're untouchable at that moment.
I wonder if he even knew the actual particulars of
I
what she
doubt it.
posted and said, because
Yeah.
the narrative everyone ran with, and look, I don't remember if this was reported in the New York Times or any of the big outlets, but the narrative was she did an anti-Semitism, right?
Yes.
She compared Trump supporters to Holocaust survivors.
Right.
That's offensive. That is offensive. That's not what she did, but that's what the narrative was. So I could see the people coming out and thinking, "Oh, she's a Nazi," just because the reporting was horrible. Right?
I could see
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. So look, you got to do your own research, Chepik. You fucking piece of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Stop throwing people under the bus because you read it in the New York Times.
Yeah, and you could be right. He could have just read some article and thus made a statement based on that, which again would be really, really stupid for him to do. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he's not with Disney anymore, I guess. They
no.
threw his ass out because he was so bad. I
Right.
don't even think he lasted like a year.
Yeah, it was very short. Okay, so the next part is kind of funny. We can skip it, except just go to, you see where it says 43, the top of page 11.
Sure.
This is pretty funny. It says Carano uses X to express her views, opinions, and beliefs. Carano appreciates that X has never attempted to censor her speech.
How come there's not a winky emoji and a little thumbs up for Elon Musk?
Yeah, I feel like that was literally only included because, he's obviously helping pay for this lawsuit. So it's a little funny little thing there, but okay.
Well, this is a branding push for Twitter as well. This is what I like about Elon Musk. Elon Musk is like, why does everyone just put a bunch of ads on TV? Why don't they market their brands in more interesting ways? And this is like a super interesting way.
Yes. That's why Elon is so annoying to me because he does things that I really like and then he does things that I really hate at the same time. I'm just like,
Yeah,
oh my
yeah,
God,
yeah.
please. Can you just stop? Just do something. Just do good stuff. Stop doing bad
Last
stuff.
time, last time we covered Elon though, it was a little bit our fault because we only covered a brief portion of that talk he did. I can't. It was some conference or something like that. Do you remember
I remember what you're talking about. Yeah.
what he said later in that conference? I was like, okay, this is people are trying to target him by clip chimping him on
Right.
Twitter.
It
But
was him
what
telling Disney to F off.
to fuck off? Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
In
Thanks.
terms of advertising on Twitter
Right,
or
but
X.
later on he said, I'm sick of people doing things that make them look good and not doing things that are morally righteous. Something basically to that effect. And I was like, yes, I love Elon Musk again.
Right.
Because that's the problem. That is totally the problem. Yeah.
If that's what's going on here, listen, I'm a lot more cynical with a lot of like rich and powerful people's motivations. I could also see it very much like he really needs allies because he's getting attacked so much from the left. So he needs like right-wing allies, and that's like kind of why he's saying and doing a lot of things that he's doing.
Right. But look, the question is, and I 100% agree with you. Like all powerful people need allies. But is he willing to sacrifice the truth or his principles for those allies? I'm not.
Maybe.
Okay, well, I'm not convinced he is, but
Well, so, because the immigration bill is like really blackpilling me
right,
on just anyone's ability to not be like hyper tribal partisan.
right,
And he was a huge proponent of, or he's not a proponent, he's a huge person pushing the narrative that this bill is some kind of secret amnesty bill to allow illegal immigrants into the country to vote
right.
and
Yeah,
saying all sorts of like just completely unhinged, untrue things about the immigration bill.
right. Yeah.
And it's just like, and I don't know if he just believes it or not. I don't know what's going on there. I
He
can't
could
tell.
be in a Chapek situation. He doesn't know.
Yeah, my inclination is he just is ignorant about the bill because he didn't
Right.
read it. He just read people who framed it in very specific ways, and then they just said, "Oh, okay, that's what's going on there."
Yep.
Okay. The next part, I don't know if it's really worth. We can just kind of scroll through it. It's kind of funny. They have like the tweets of people attacking Gina Carano.
Oh yeah, these are good.
You have on page 12, people are like, "Say ACAB, please, Gina Carano, say ACAB." Oh my God.
ACAB stands for all cops are bastards. Oh look,
Yes,
it's in the complaint.
it is.
ACAB
ACAB
stands for.
for
Go
all
ahead.
cops are bastards, a sentiment with which Carano does not agree.
That's so good.
And then the
Okay,
next
here.
page we have some more whiny tweets saying, "You're a racist if you completely ignore the BLM movement and don't support it. Being silent puts you on the side of the racists and oppressors."
Yeah. Look at this.
Can you imagine being some like a-hole who sent Gina Carano some like obnoxious tweet and now you're like in a legal complaint?
I mean, they're probably stoked about it.
That's true. They're probably bragging about it now.
Did you see Vito did a video? Gina Carano's a moron.
I
Like
saw
we
that
should.
he did it. I didn't watch it. I don't know what he said about it, but
What a look. I when he was live, I looked at the stream for a minute just because I was like, how is Vito on the wrong side of like everything? And he was basically taking this line that you're supposed to shut up and do whatever Disney tells you. I'm like, what a piece of
well,
shit.
it would here'd be my guess as to what's going on here. So Vito saw this lawsuit and then he just thought about the one issue of, well, obviously Disney can fire anyone for any political reason they want.
Right.
I'm assuming that's all he thought about the situation and then made his video. Where there's
Right.
the two other, which there are two other major factors here, which we've talked about already, which is number one, if it's illegal to fire people for political reasons in California, which definitely seems to be the case here. And number two, the defamation thing, which I think is stronger, but the statute of limitations is would maybe fuck her.
Yeah.
So that'd be my guess as to, Vito didn't look into those two extra elements of it. And he just kind of fired off a video quickly about it. That'd be my guess. I don't know. I
I
didn't
mean, I
watch it.
think he did like an hour-long live stream about it, but I really like Vito's Star Wars videos, but I just like Vito, chill out. Like what the fuck?
Right. Someone else posted, Gina, if you're not racist, then show us. Support and donate to Black Lives Matter. Use your platform and your voice to stand up against
Against the police
fact.
who are
If
committing.
12-year-olds on Twitter can do this, you can too.
You cut out for a second there. After we were
Oh.
bragging about Zoom too. Damn it.
Well, no, it's nothing to do with Zoom. It's because I'm just on the Wi-Fi, so
Why?
it's on my end.
You can't plug in?
Well, okay, so
What a little
my
bitch.
bathroom has a leak in it,
Oh, okay.
and so they had to like rip the wall out, and now someone's painting it. And if I
Okay.
put the wire in, it goes like right in their pathway, and I don't trust people
Yeah.
to not
Good.
like rip up, trip over it with paint cans and shit like
That
that.
was
So
smart. That was
yeah,
very, you did the right thing.
right. So I apologize if I cut out. There's nothing I can do about it today. So okay.
Please, no
Um,
more apologies on the show. Thank you.
there you go. There you
We go on to these aren't trolls. These are people trying to educate you so you can get on the right side of
go.
history. Look at this. They're just trying to get her on the right side of history,
I
guys.
know. How
They're trying to
pathetic.
do her a giant favor.
It
As if, look, these people want you fired, homeless, living under a bridge, starving to death, okay?
yeah.
They don't they don't care about your well-being. Don't take advice from them.
Isn't it interesting how that was only 4 years ago, and yet those replies seem so quaint, like in not the way people like everyone will just laugh at this now, right? In 2024.
Things are changing.
Yeah, things are changing. Yet that used to be effective. So
Yeah.
Gina Carano's
That's
yeah.
I heard something called there's like the naturalistic fallacy. It's the progressive fallacy. The idea that what we're doing now is working towards progress. That's
I-
so true. Just the idea that what we're doing, simply for the fact that we're doing it, is that it's moving towards progress, is on par with the naturalistic fallacy.
Oh, okay. That is not the naturalistic fallacy. You're saying it's on par with.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
The naturalistic fallacy is that just because something is natural means it's good.
Right. Right.
The something like the progress fallacy would be just because we're doing something means it's going to be better for society.
Yeah, if we're doing something different, like it's quote progressing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Then
I
Gina
like that.
responded by saying, "In my experience, screaming at someone that they are a racist when they are indeed not a racist, and any post and or research you do will show you these extra facts. And I'm sorry, these people are not educators; they are cowards and bullies."
True.
There you go.
Carano responded not with insults, but with an explanation of why the bullying needs to stop. And this is the example that they give.
Right.
So that's cool.
Even when
Look,
Carano's,
she's
yeah,
super nice.
she is,
Yeah.
and hot.
Well, yeah, that's part of the niceness, right? Nice on
Right.
the eyes.
Right. She also responded, "My heart is filled with so much warmth for all of you. Just when you think the darkness starts closing in, all of you lit a candle to light my way. It really is incredible that people standing with each other heart to heart believe there is hope." And someone responded saying, "Imagine being racist."
Well, these people, oh, they're so horrible.
I know, aren't they?
They are, yeah. It does get discouraging from time to time, Sitch. I don't know if you get discouraged by I get more discouraged by the onslaught of stupidity than I do the onslaught of hate, but
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, no, the stupidity always affects me more than the hate, but very often the hate is based in stupidity. So there's
Yeah,
there's a lot
no.
of overlap there.
Sometimes it's stupid and hatred married together
Usually
in
that
an
is unfortunately the
ungodly
case.
combination.
Right. And this is kind of interesting. So then Chris Bartlett, who is a writer for The Mandalorian, he said, "Standing with my castmates, Gina Carano, you'd hashtag love to know and work with this human. She's a beautiful example of humility and kindness to everyone." So at least at first, you have one of the writers of The Mandalorian is defending Gina Carano.
Yeah. Aw, Chris, thank you.
So that's good.
Big hug from here, my friend.
Right.
Now, how does this go off the rails here? Let's see.
Okay. So let's skip down to page 18. It says the online abuse worsened when she encouraged standing up to bullies by sharing an article with a famous historical photo of someone standing up to fascism. She says, heartbreaking and powerful story of a man who changed his ways for the woman he loved. Love changes the world one person at a time. And here you have a photo of like one German guy refusing to do the Hitler salute in a mob of people.
Right. This is so dangerous here because optically, everyone is just going to spin this as Gina Carano sharing a, a bunch of people doing Heil Hitler salutes.
Right, right.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're going to be very hyper dishonest about, you know.
they are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any media training course will tell you, Gina, don't share Nazis, okay? Don't put
Yeah.
Nazis on your timeline.
Don't mention Nazis, don't post Nazi pictures,
Yeah.
just leave
It's
it
just
alone.
look, this environment is too hostile for that. I get what you're
Right.
trying to do. It's not how people are going to take it.
Okay. Then the next page, they talk about Gina was against the COVID lockdowns.
Oh,
And they have
wow.
some tweets about the COVID lockdowns, which I don't really need to read, but that's fine. Okay.
We were against the COVID lockdowns too,
Yeah,
just so you know.
that's true. Let's see.
We thought
The
it
ne
should have been optional. Let people go out and take their own risks. Let them
right.
assess their risk level. You're some old person who's scared you're going to get sick. Stay home. Wear a mask.
Hmm.
Yeah, don't go out.
Okay, then
Anyway.
they continue to complain about more people complaining about her lack of doing anything with pronouns, blah, blah, blah. Okay, here's kind of interesting. Page 22. Gina Carano tweeted out, and you could see she has the little boop, bop, beep pronouns in the bio. Okay.
Ah, look at that.
She said, yes, Pedro and I spoke, and he helped me understand why people are putting pronouns in their bios. I didn't know before, but I do now. I won't be putting them in my bio, but good for all of you who choose to. I stand against bullying, especially the most vulnerable, and freedom to choose. 100.
Look at this. She's pro-choice.
Which actually, I give her a lot of credit for that because she's saying, okay, I get it, and I'm not going to do it, and I'm not going to mock you, but I'm not going to do it, right? And that's a pretty mature and adult response.
Yeah,
So I give her a lot of credit for that.
yeah. It's like if you can't tell I'm a female,
Right.
you're the one with the issue.
Hmm.
Yeah. And look, I'm always Gina. It's just not good for Gina Carano, right? Gina Carano has a very manly chin. Okay. She puts pronouns in in that bio.
Uh-huh.
Like you look at this picture, you're thinking, this is a beautiful woman, right? As soon as you see she, her, you're thinking,
Uh-oh. Is she trans?
wait a second here. Is Gina Carano trans? I mean, that is a stunningly strong jawline.
It is funny that like very often putting pronouns in your bios accomplish the opposite of what
Yes.
you want. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Yeah.
so.
All of a sudden all of a sudden you're thinking, wow, I didn't know she was trans. Good for
Hmm.
her. Dating
Right.
opportunities dropped to zero.
Okay. Well, then actually, so that was on September 12th. The following day, September 13th, she says, they're mad I won't put pronouns in my bio to show my support for trans lives. After months of harassing me in every way, I've decided to put three very controversial words in my bio. Beep, bop, poop. I'm not against trans lives at all. They need to find less abusive representation. Okay, so I guess the beep, bop, poop came after that, mature tweet. She kind of went back a little bit on it, but whatever. Good for her, I guess.
She's being antagonized. She's going to fight back.
There you
She's
go. She's a
literally
fighter.
a fighter. What are you going
Yeah,
to do? Like
right.
somebody hits, it's very hard. You know, Jesus said turn the other cheek, but not many people are really down to do that.
You turn the other cheek so that you can wind up for your haymaker. Okay.
Right, exactly. You turn the other cheek to fake them out like you're gonna let it hit you again.
A Twitter user responded saying, "Can you see how some would read that as mocking?" And Gina responded saying, "I don't think trans people would like all of you trying to force a woman to put something in her bio through harassment name calling every day for months, such as racist, transphobe, bitch, weirdo. I hope you die. I hope you lose your career. You're fat. You're ugly." Yeah, this really shows how, there's generally two ways, or generally three ways people react to like abuse. Okay. They give in, they just run away, like they just
Yeah.
get off social media, or they just go in the exact opposite direction and they just do the exact opposite of whatever it is you want. And so, very obviously, Gina is the third
Yeah.
person there in the thing, and it really shows you how like not effective and how immoral a lot of the sort of woke pandering nonsense is.
Yeah, it's
So,
very immoral.
yeah,
It's yeah, they're trying to shame her into doing something she doesn't want to do. Look, if you I guess it depends upon what it is. If you're cheating on your spouse, maybe you should be shamed into stopping that, right?
I'm talking. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're talking about like something to this effect. Obviously,
Right.
sure,
Yeah, yeah.
sure. There are things that are definitely worth shaming people to not engage in specific
Right.
behaviors. Obviously.
Shaming people into putting pronouns in their bio, which is like just a brand new thing that it does seem like a nefarious compliance tactic that people are not going to like.
Right. Okay, let's jump down to page 26. And here we have defendants engaged in harassment of their own. Oh, okay. So all that stuff on Twitter is kind of not super, it's kind of fun. I don't know how useful it is to the court case, but however, like her online abusers, defendants were not satisfied. They subjected Carano to long phone calls demanding an explanation and criticizing her for not embracing what some see as mandatory solidarity with a vocal element of the transgender activist community. Even when she expressed that defendants' demands were excessive and asked for some time away from the constant meetings, defendants refused, demanding that she continue with her re-education program.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
So this is
This
where
is
very
crazy.
interesting things could come out in Discovery as to like what exactly is it that Disney was trying to force upon Gina to do, and what behaviors were they kind of trying to force on her to engage in terms of, taking the correct online opinions.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. No, I'm dying to know. Come on. You've piqued my interest here.
Defendants even required Carano to meet with representatives of GLAAD. Oh my God, can you imagine this? You put beep boop bup in your pronoun in your bio. Now you have to have some like fucking person from GLAAD show up and talk to you. And they're going to talk to you in a very like patronizing, they put on that like
Yeah,
saccharine sweet
condescending way.
patronizing voice. You're
Yeah.
like, oh my God, please.
Talk down to you like you're a child. Do you don't understand the plight of the gay and lesbian community?
I know. You're like, oh God.
Yeah.
A national organization that promotes LGBTQ plus acceptance, something she willingly did. Grano had a very positive discussion with two of the representatives during a 90-minute Zoom meeting, even reviewing several documents they asked her to watch. Documentaries they asked
Oh,
her to watch. They literally gave her homework. She had to watch movies. Oh my God. This is awful. Can you believe this nonsense? Upon information and belief, the representatives of GLAAD with whom she spoke provided positive feedback to defendants from their discussion. Even so, defendants continued to demand a public apology, finding the above social media statements insufficient. Defendants went so far as to try and convince Carano's publicist to force Carano to issue a statement admitting to mocking or insulting an entire group of people, which Carano had never done.
yeah. Don't
Interesting,
never. Yeah, I'm so glad gave him the finger on this.
right?
Like, first of all, you know how I feel about public apologies. That's just, they're asking for an admission of guilt.
Right.
Look, putting beep, bop, boop in your bio is not a crime.
No,
Yeah.
no. Yeah. So good on her for sticking to her guns here and saying no. After she refused to issue the statement, defendants demanded and defendants rejected Carano's proposed alternate statement. Defendants increased the harassment of Carano. As a sign of good faith, Carano went to donate to a GoFundMe page allegedly set up to support of the transgender community. When she opened the link, she read that the fund was supposedly created by a Lucasfilms creative and was directly targeting Carano, defaming her by accusing her of being a bigoted actress. Accordingly, Carano did not donate.
Good for her.
That's
Of
funny.
course. Yeah, look. This is so, oh man. People can't do their jobs anymore, Sitch. This is like what they do for fun.
Well, now I don't know if this was like would affect the legality of any of this, but I think from a business perspective, it's hyper stupid, hyper ultra mega stupid for Disney or Lucasfilms to not say, if you work for us, you cannot go out and publicly attack or shame any of our employees for any reason. And
Yeah,
that is grounds for termination. Okay, what are
I
you doing?
completely agree.
Right. If you have
Yes.
a problem with them, you come talk to us, you come talk to HR. You
Talk to
don't go,
HR.
right. You don't go do public nonsense about it. So, get effed whoever did this thing, whoever started the GoFundMe. Carano brought this to Lucasfilm's attention, who denied the GoFundMe account was established by any Lucasfilm employee. Shortly thereafter, the account was changed to call Carano ignorant, and the identity of the organizer was changed to no longer identify a Lucasfilm employee. Well, that's interesting. I don't know what the facts of
Yeah,
that
they're
are,
just
but
they're grifting. Look at this, you dumbasses. You gave a bunch of money to a fucking grifter in Nigeria. You crazy.
maybe. Yeah, that is interesting.
You idiots. You idiots.
To Carano's knowledge, no employee was disciplined for their public harassment of Carano. Defendants nevertheless communicated to Carano's publicist that they were going to require Carano to participate in a Zoom call with Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy. Oh my God. Put a chicken and make it gay. And
But I would
45 employees oh my God, wait a minute. She
who
had to go to a Zoom
identify
call.
as LGBT community.
She had to not only do a Zoom call with Kathleen Kennedy, but 45 employees who were identified as LBGT.
Can you imagine?
Oh, that
Can
is
you
the
imagine? Kathleen Kennedy in center square and surrounded by 45 Karens,
Is that not the most
45
cringe shit you ever
gay
heard in your
Karens.
life? Oh my God.
I wish she would have done it just for the discovery. Oh my God.
I would have done it just to record it, and I would have been like as sarcastic as like possible.
Oh my God. This is insane.
Right. Going so far as to say that her willingness to endure such harassment and humiliation was a litmus test for her. That's an interesting statement. The publicist was encouraged to explain that the group was a, quote, friendly group that wanted Gina to succeed, even though several had contributed to the anti-Karina GoFundMe account.
Oh my God.
Holy crap. Including filmmaker Leslie Headland, who was scheduled to produce a Star Wars production.
No
Wow.
way.
That is
No
awful.
way. Oh, so the higher ups got her. I'll
Yeah.
bring up a picture of Leslie Headland. Well,
What is I'm looking up now. I'm curious, what
oh
is the
yeah,
Star
yeah,
Wars
yeah,
thing that
yeah.
she's involved in?
Yeah. I
Um,
remember everyone losing their mind over Leslie Headland because she just screams. The aesthetic is obviously social
I
justice.
don't see maybe it's not out yet. I don't see anything Star Wars related so far.
She's
Oh no,
a,
she's doing the Acolyte. That's the one with philosophy tube in it, right?
oh yeah,
Right? Okay, so it makes sense that the woke person against Gina Carano, who donated against Gina Carano, would also get philosophy tube to be in their production. So
of
there you
course.
go. Okay. Okay.
Which we will be reviewing on our media channel,
Yes.
by the way, in
Yes.
every glorious detail.
Every glorious detail. The purpose was clear. Carano had to, quote, grow and learn. And defendants want to know where her mindset is currently with regard to the controversy over pronouns. Until then, they were not going to allow her to speak to the media or include her in any promotions. Carino declined to be subjected to a Zoom meeting with 45 other people, but did offer to take 5 or 6 dinners so they could talk face to face. Defendant refused the offer. There you go.
Why would
That's
you
funny.
refuse a dinner with? Oh, because they think she's like Hitler.
Well, because it's like, okay, this is why. Because Kathleen Kennedy is like, I want you to waste your time for 45 minutes to do this thing, but I'm not going to waste my time going to dinner with you. Right.
Right.
So,
Well, I mean,
given,
but the other people would have gone. She's like saying 5 or 6 dinners so that she could go with all of them. Like, Sure, Kathleen Kennedy might be out, but why wouldn't some other ones
Oh, I
take
guess,
her up
well, yeah,
on it?
5 or 6 of the 45. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Because they want to hide behind their computer screen is the answer to the question. Yeah.
Yeah, that is the real answer
I
right
mean,
there.
listen, Gina's a big woman. Okay.
Right.
She's going to kick your ass. Right. You gotta be
I
afraid. It's
don't
intimidating.
I don't know that she's that big. She is intimidating though.
She could kick my ass.
Okay. Look, you think you could beat a horse-sized duck, but you're worried about little Gina Carano, huh?
She's 5'8", so I am taller than her. So there you go. I got
Yeah.
got a couple inches on her. I could take her then, right? That's all I mean.
She's not horse-sized.
There you go. I could listen. I think I could. Okay, here's a legitimate question. Who do you think you would fare better in a fight against, Gina Carano or a horse-sized dog?
Gina Carano, obviously.
What? That's insane. What are you talking about? She's a trained fighter
She's
who's ripped.
smaller. Look, you don't understand the
Oh my
power of
God.
weight.
Who's a human being with human intelligence. You think you're gonna have a better chance against her than a duck with hollow bones that you can kick its legs out, okay?
I mean, this could be like the drunken high schooler who can beat Serena Williams in tennis
Oh my
because,
God,
it's
stop
just
it.
men have
Stop
such
this.
an advantage.
You've seen that fight scene in the movie. She's kicking everyone's ass, okay?
All that's choreographed. Yeah.
Oh my God. You're crazy. Midas Matthews for Lemont says Sitch means he would let her take him in a fight. That is true. That is
Look,
true.
the sooner she can get me to the ground, the better, right?
There you go. There it is. Okay. Given defendants' ongoing harassment, Carano let defendants know that perhaps she needed to get legal counsel to help resolve the issue. Thereafter, defendants changed
What?
course and decided to require Carano to take media training.
Wow.
There you go. Okay, let's see. And then
Media
it says
training could be useful. So,
that could be useful, yeah. As long as it's not woke media training, which it probably was.
oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. They're like,
Okay,
put Nazis on your timeline, but only in relation to MAGA supporters.
exactly, exactly. Okay, then they kind of talk about she was getting criticized for her COVID takes. Let's go down to page 31. Defendants strike again. Even with Carano's star rising, defendants continue to harbor animosity against Carano for her political beliefs. On January 8th, 2021, Carano was inadvertently sent an email by Lynn Hale of Lucasfilms explaining that defendants were consumed with some on social media calling for Disney to fire Carano. They monitored a hashtag, meaning a string of related posts calling on Disney to hashtag fire her. Hale's email was the most recent in a string of emails that began with Disney CEO Chapek's statement on the events of January 6th. There was a significant backlash to Chapek's statement, including harsh criticisms of Disney for doing business with China, given the country's extensive human rights abuse and internment camps for the indigenous Uyghur people.
What page
Yet,
are we on?
we're on page 31.
Gotcha.
We're on where it says 97.
Gotcha.
Yet very quickly, the focus of the emails turned to Carano as some of the social media chose to insert calls to fire Carano in response to Chapek's online statement. Rather than focus on the criticism of Disney's business dealings in China, Disney instead was going to prepare a report on Carano, which Hale recommended start by saying that she didn't do anything to support the riots on TC. Of course, Carano had nothing to do with the events of January 6th. So, okay, so this is interesting. So they're basically saying, or they're insinuating here, Disney's getting a bunch of blowback for dealing with China, and so they're going to try to throw out the whole Gina Carano thing here as like a wag the dog distraction thing.
That's the argument. Yeah.
Right. It was apparent that Chapek and his team were looking for ways to deflect from his failed leadership as Disney CEO, a pattern that included his obsession with an ultimate termination of Carano, his subsequent failings in Disney contract disputes with Scarlett Johansson in July 2021, and political missteps in his criticism of Florida's parental rights and education law, all leading to his termination in November of 2022. Okay, so he was CEO for 2 years.
Wow. Where's the time go?
Yep. On January 12th, 2021, Carano posted an interview she gave where she was asked about the controversy surrounding her social media post, an interview that clearly demonstrates that she was not seeking to denigrate anyone but chose to speak up because there was a large group of people that were being silenced and that conversations were not happening. And because of her belief that discussion is good, she was not seeking a political platform, but believed that discussing issues makes everyone better. She also understands that simply speaking up made her a punching bag.
Right.
If she said specifically that she was not seeking a political platform, that it might actually hurt her case. If she's going to have to rely on the law saying that you can't fire someone for political activities. So we'll see. It might actually come back to bite her.
Are we going to go through this entire thing, or maybe we should
No.
wrap up?
Well, I'm just going to go through the parts that seem kind of relevant, but we'll just jump
Okay.
around. All this occurred while Lucasfilms was publicly supporting Christina Aguilera and her declaration that all white people are racist. Wow. I missed that. I don't remember that. Aguilera? I'm sorry, not Aguilera. Can't speak. Christina Ariel. Wait, who's Christina Ariel?
Yeah, that's not Christina
No, that
Aguilera.
is not Christina Aguilera. Who's Christina Ariel? I don't even know who that is.
I'm not sure, but she thinks all white people are
Okay.
racist, though.
Indeed, defendants even publicly claim that people should speak their minds based on their conscience. Of course, when Carano did so, defendants targeted her because her conscience did not align with their ideology. And then here's a post from the official Star Wars account saying, quote, and it's got an MLK picture. There comes a time when one must take a position that is neither safe nor politic nor popular, but he must take it because conscience tells him it is right. Martin Luther King Jr. So obviously, massive hypocrisy from Star Wars because they don't actually support that position if it's someone on the right or someone going against kind of the mainstream narrative. So,
I think she's from that Dear White People show. I'm not
mm,
certain.
okay. On February 10th, 2021, Carano made the following post in light of the trending hashtag Fire Gina Carano to highlight the injustice of the mob seeking to destroy someone because of their political beliefs. Uh-oh, okay. I think this was the big tweet that got her in trouble. He's got a picture of like a Jewish lady running away from Nazis or something. Jews were beaten in the streets, not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children. You can see there's some kid in the background there. Because history is edited, most people today don't realize that to get to the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them for simply being Jews. How is that any different from hating someone for their political views? So, I don't really have a problem with this tweet. I think it's absurd if people were like trying to say that she was being anti-Semitic. You can make an argument that you think that it's not that she shouldn't be comparing her situation to, Jews getting chased by German citizens and by Nazis and during the Holocaust, and that's fine if you want to make that argument. But people were definitely trying to spin this as if she was like hating Jews or something, which doesn't make any sense to me. So,
Not at all. Complete mischaracterization of the situation.
right. Carano made no mention of a political party or particular point of view and compared no one or a group of people to the Jewish people during the Holocaust. Well, she kind of did the latter, but okay. Rather, she noted the danger that arises when one point of view is singled out for harassment. Nevertheless, the apoplectic response from some on social media has been well documented and shows a gross overreaction, intentional smearing campaign against Carano. Indeed, one analysis of the social media events of February 10th, 2021 concludes Carano contested posts can be fairly critiqued as heavy-handed. Still, evidence has not come forth that Carano in any way emitted an iota of the hate or vitriol that was projected onto her by the persecution mob. Well, I think that's completely true. I think that's a very fair way of saying it. Then we have something from the Auschwitz Memorial Museum talking about this. Then we have the next page. Even Carano's male co-star, the late Carl Weathers, posted the exact same message, but no action was taken against him, nor was Weathers accused by defendants of denigrating people based on their cultural and religious identity. Okay, interesting. What did Carl Weathers say? Carl
Who
Weathers
gets
says,
who gets to decide what is appropriate for me or my children or my child to read? The Nazis knew how to both control and to eradicate. Interesting playbook to emulate. What's next? Who's next? Be peace.
Okay, so we have Carl Weathers, he's obviously relating this to sort of the whole like the right wing is banning books, and he's comparing that to Nazis.
Yeah.
There you
But
go.
that's the appropriate. It's all. It's only appropriate to compare the right wing to Nazis, not the left wing,
Right,
not
right.
the innocent little left wing.
Hmm. And then he retweeted another post kind of comparing, something that would imply that Republicans and Nazis are, acting the same way. Defendant's disparate treatment of Weathers further demonstrates their discrimination against Carano on the basis of her sex and claim, but I think they have something with political beliefs, obviously. Indeed, when he made the same generic statement, Weathers' comments were interpreted to attack Republicans, so he was given a pass by defendants. Yet defendants, rather than come to Carano's defense, proved her point by joining the unhinged mob and not just terminating Carano for the views expressed in her post, but accusing her of the very thing she fought against, the denigration of other people. Okay, let's see. We don't need to read this next part. Well, actually, on here, sentence 11 here is kind of interesting. Defendants did not even have the courtesy to inform Carano of her termination in person before announcing it to the press. Ironically, Carano first learned of her termination by reading about it on social media. Now, that's always just like a super shitty move to do, right? Really
Horrible.
gross. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Super shitty.
When she's on the witness stand and she says that with a tear in her eye, everyone's gonna be like, "Oh my god,
I
they're
know.
fucking monsters."
Yep.
Yeah. This is what they want. They want a
Uh,
good shot of her crying, saying that on the witness stand.
mhm. As a result of defendants, not only did she have to read about it on social media, but she read about them accusing her of bigotry on social media. They didn't just say that they fired her. They said we fired her for being a bigot.
Yeah.
As a result of defendant's statements, Carano was inundated with stalkers and media hounding her at home. It became so bad that she justifiably feared for her personal safety.
Oh man,
That's
that's
not good.
another good Terry
Right.
line for the witness stand.
In addition to being terminated for her role on The Mandalorian, defendants canceled production of Rangers of the New Republic, refusing to hire her even though she had been told the role was hers. So that's a little important thing because I remember there was some people saying that she didn't get fired, she just didn't rehire her for another season or renew her for another season. And they're saying here that she was directly terminated on Mandalorian and that they already had begun production on her spinoff show, which is now canceled. So,
Yeah, would have been great.
yep.
But look, there's so it's so ironic because Disney is so desperate for likable female protagonists. They
Right.
finally get one. They finally get one that people like. They want her to have a spinoff show. They fire her for being conservative.
I know. I know.
What fucking morons.
Are you saying they fired a strong woman for being a strong woman?
Yeah, look, what fucking morons. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. Exactly. Idiots.
And this is important too for the case 115 here. It says, to this day, when someone wishes to attack Carano's appearance at any event, they frequently cite defendant's statement at the time of her termination and repeat the false accusations that Carano, quote, denigrated people based on their cultural and religious identity. So that's important because they have to show that these statements
Damages. Yeah.
that Disney made has some sort of continual damaging effect to her reputation. So okay, let's see. Defendant's post-termination smear campaign. Is there anything? By way of example of the post-termination smear campaign prior to her termination in November of 2021, Carano filmed an episode of Running Wild with Bear Grylls, an adventure program that aired on Nat Geo owned by Disney. Following her termination, Disney surreptitiously removed the episode of Running Wild that showcased Carano from the show's scheduled lineup, all in an effort to malign Carano and deny viewers the ability to see who she really is. Wow. I guess that means that in that episode of Bear Grylls, Gina Carano looked directly at the camera and said, listen, I love Jews and trans people. Disney said, no, get out of here. Okay. After protests from fans and look at this, good on Bear Grylls. An intervention by Bear Grylls to have the episode run as scheduled. Disney did show the episode with Carano on May 10th, 2021. Well, good for him. That's good for Bear Grylls. Look at that.
Got it.
Okay, let's
All
see.
right, let's wrap
Aftermath.
this up. This is getting dull.
Okay, jeez.
Well, look, it is. I'm getting bored here.
Okay.
Look,
Sorry.
I look. I had the idea that we were gonna, look at this until the entertainment value ran out, and
Okay.
I didn't realize we were gonna we were going full law tube here, and
Well,
I was
I
gonna have
was
to read the
curious to
entire
see.
complaint. So
Okay, let's. Okay.
look,
Since you're getting
if
bored,
there's
let's see. Let's
anything
just
interesting
go to
here,
the other. See if there's any other important legal arguments made in this document. You don't
yeah,
have to
look.
read everything anymore.
I don't feel like turning this into a 4-hour video is good content. So
I
look,
understand.
yeah.
Then we have people talking about how they were impressed working with her. Good for them. Social media post from Chronos co-stars. Let's see. Here's okay. So here's some posts
Look,
from
I'm
Pedro
gonna
Pascal that they want to
people in the
compare.
chat. Maybe it's just me. People in the chat are saying that they're interested. So I'm gonna run a poll. If you guys are interested in us reading the entire complaint,
Well, I wasn't going to read the entire thing. I'm just trying to see
start
things
to
that are
finish, I
relevant
will.
to the
Yeah, look,
case. Yeah.
maybe it's just me. Maybe
Okay.
look, maybe people are loving this, and I'm just going. Okay. I
So
did
here,
read a lot about this already, so like a lot of the information you're sharing with me is
right,
stuff that I
is you already
already
know this
know. Yeah,
information, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like it's super relevant. But look, I'll put a poll up.
Okay. On page 42, 131 says on August 16th, 2017, Pedro Pascal made the following post comparing President Donald Trump to Hitler. And there's a big post that's got it's got the number 45 with like a no sign above
I
it.
saw it.
And
Yeah,
it's like shaped like a swastika.
yeah.
So,
I
right.
was like, will this get us in trouble? Should I roll past this?
Right. And then on the next page, they have another post from Pedro Pascal where he said, hashtag this is America. And it was on the top row, it had Germany 1944, and you see a bunch of people in a concentration camp behind barbed wire. And underneath it, it shows the kids in cages, America 2018. So there you go.
We have about 843 viewers right now.
Mhm.
So vote in the poll, guys.
Now, this would be important to, well, okay, so this, they're trying to compare. Oh, okay, there's another post from Pedro Pascal that he retweeted, though he did delete it, where the post, oh, no, he didn't retweet it, he just did it and then deleted it. It was a picture that says losers in 1865 and it has a Confederate flag. Losers in 1945 and it has the Nazi flag. Then it says losers in 2021 and it has a MAGA hat. So defendants did not comment on, let alone condemn Pascal's social media comments. So I'd be kind of interested in discovery to find out, did anyone at Disney actually talk to Pedro about these posts and make him stop? I would actually, that would, because if they did, that would help Disney's defense a lot. If they didn't, that would really hurt Disney's defense a lot. Let's see. So, because they're in the complaint, they're saying Pascal was not disciplined for any of these tweets whatsoever. Pedro Pascal also tweeted out a picture of Bert and Ernie where Bert is holding the LGBT flag and Bernie is holding a sign saying Black Trans Lives Matter. Have you seen this fucking picture?
Bernie? No.
Look up page 45. You have to show this picture. This is absurd. This is like horrible. And there's a little duck. This is the rubber ducky. It has a defund the police sign at the bottom.
Oh, Bert and Ernie? Yeah.
Yeah, you see this fucking picture?
Black trans lives matter.
Oh my
What is
God.
this about? Why is this in the complaint?
Pedro tweeted this out.
Oh, he did?
Yes, Pedro Pascal tweeted this out.
Wow.
There you go. He
Put
was
your
not
put
supposedly not disciplined for this post
put
anyway.
your helmet back on.
Yeah, Jesus. Okay. Uh-oh. Likewise, the next page. Likewise, Star Wars star Mark Hamill posted his comparison of Americans who support President Trump with Nazis in 2022. Dun dun dun. Come on, Mark. Mark, we want to like you. Don't do it. Don't do it, Mark. Don't go down a path we can't follow. And then they kind of go through Mark Hamill posting a bunch of kind of anti-Trump stuff and anti J.K. Rowling stuff and saying that he didn't get any sort of talking to by Disney. Okay, here we go. Page 49, Adam. We're almost there.
Mixed.
Okay.
The poll is kind of mixed too. It's no clear. Well,
Don't worry about
obviously,
it. We're just ignore the poll. Listen, look. Page 49. Okay. First claim for relief. Wrongful discharge. California Labor Codes 1101. Carano re-alleges and incorporates by reference of all prior paragraphs of this complaint as though fully set forth herein. Section 1101 of the California Labor Code provides that no employer shall make, adopt, or enforce any rule, regulation, or policy forbidding or preventing employees from engaging or participating in politics or from becoming candidates for public office, controlling or directing or tending to control or direct the political activities or affiliations of employees. In violation of Section 1101A of the Labor Code, defendants terminated Carano's employment based on her post, thereby unlawfully forbidding or preventing Carano from engaging or participating in politics. Okay. So, I mean, I said we'd have to look at the case law to what exactly how California courts have interpreted participating in politics, but that at least from a just a on its face reading seems to be pretty clearly what's going on here. So I'm not sure what the defense from Disney will be for that action. Uh, let's see. It says sentence 150. In violation of Section 1102, defendants coerce, influence, and attempted to coerce and influence Carano because of her post by means of a threat of discharging or loss of employment to adopt or follow or refrain from adopting or following any particular courses or line of political action or political activity. Okay. And they kind of talk about how she refused to remove her post, so that would also be a violation of the same law. Okay. And then it just kind of goes on talking about how all the things he did is a violation of that law. Second claim of relief. Wrongful discharge and refuse to hire. California Labor Code 98.6. Carano realleges and incorporates by reference all prior paragraphs of the complaint as follows. A person shall not discharge any employee or in any manner discriminate, retaliate, or take any adverse action against any employee or applicant for employment because the employee or applicant engaged in any conduct delineated in this chapter, including blah, 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 because of the exercise of the employee or applicant for employment on behalf of him or herself or others or any rights afforded to him. Any employee who's discharged, threatened with discharge, demoted, suspended, retaliated against, subject to any adverse action, or any other manner discriminated against in terms and conditions of his or her employment because the employee engaged in any conduct delineated in this chapter. Okay, but what is the conduct though? It doesn't say in that section there. Hmm. Okay. I don't know. I'm not sure about that. Look into that a little bit more. Okay. Third claim for relief. This is on page 555. This is the sex discrimination complaint. I think this is going to be their weakest one. I don't see how they're going to be able to make this one stick. So, oh, okay. So here's interesting. So they're not even asking for they're not even making a claim of defamation. They just said it, but they're not actually doing it. So I guess that 1 year statute of limitations for defamation is accurate because they're not even asking for relief for the defamation. I think if she would have done that immediately, I think she would have had a strong case. But you always run the risk that if you do that, it's going to be very hard to get hired again. And so a lot of times actors or people in sort of those industries will kind of roll the dice to see if they can get hired again. And then by then it's too late, because the statute of limitations are already gone. So, okay, well, that's it. That's the end of the document.
amazing.
Okay.
Uh, I'm in the chat complaining about how I think you might really have autism.
Well, we're only streaming for like 2 hours. And this was
Well, look, I thought we were going to cover like several stories in 2 hours, though, and we've spent
you
an
didn't.
hour and 45 minutes on one story.
I
That's why I'm just a little
Oh.
cranky.
Well, you
So,
could have just told me that at any
well,
point
look,
before or during the stream.
okay,
I
well,
don't need. What other story did you want to talk about? I was only aware of that we were talking about the things that we just talked about.
oh, okay.
What else did you want to talk about?
I guess we did cover a couple other stories, didn't
Yeah.
we?
What else? Was there
Okay.
something else you want to talk about before
No,
I read
look,
super chats?
no, we're good, I guess.
Okay.
Well, isn't there some crazy thing going on with Republicans?
What?
And also, isn't there like election news? I think something going on with Nikki
Do
Haley.
you tell me?
Look, I don't know.
Oh,
Look, I'm thinking we'll just search the news. We'll try to find some news here
okay.
that's
Well, listen,
relevant.
I'll read some
We'll ask the
supers.
chat. Hey, chat, what's going on? What's going on? What are we missing as far as election news goes?
Chat, what are we missing regarding election news? Here, you look into it. You look at the chat. You look into articles. I'll read some supers. How
Yeah.
about that?
Okay. Cool.
I'm gonna end the poll too, since it's already
What
over.
What is the poll? I'm
63% said read the entire complaint. 37% say summarize the good parts.
Yeah. See,
So,
that's why I was like, we got to summarize the good parts in like 20 minutes,
okay,
not an hour
right.
and 30
I
minutes.
didn't understand that there were other stories you wanted to cover.
Well,
So,
look, um, we could cover anything. We could watch a video. We could
okay,
I think I have a, things are getting boring detector. That's
gotcha.
where you're like, oh my God, look at this interesting detail. And I'm like, that's interesting. Then we already talked about that.
Right.
So I don't know.
That's my autism.
Is it? Yeah, look.
I wanna make sure we like figure out all of the specifics as to what exactly is being alleged in and shown in the complaint.
Well, and I told this in the chat too. The reason why I'm kind of getting, look, I'm not cranky. I'm fine. But I, we, I want to produce good content, and I don't feel like it's good content doing the things that Destiny does on stream that he doesn't upload, that just becomes set to private, right? So
Hmm.
if we're gonna do this, if we're gonna do something more along the lines of like Tim Pool invites a bunch of people on and reads news stories, like he keeps it moving. He's
Right.
like, he doesn't spend an hour and 45 minutes on one news story. He does a news story. They talk about it for 20 minutes. They turn it into a clip and then they move on. So
Well, here's my thought process, since I guess we're having a meta conversation publicly.
yeah,
Um,
well,
right.
if you don't want to, we can have this conversation later.
No, no,
But
no, it's fine. I'm just letting you know because this will
yeah,
also be useful
people can give us feedback in
for
the comments on what they
right,
are interested in as well. Look, we play with an open hand here.
right. So part of the reason I was spending my thought process going into this was there was a couple things that I knew that we want to talk about in the beginning. We talked about them, and then we were going to go look over the Gina Carano complaint, and that was it. I didn't know that there was any other stories you want to cover. And if
Okay,
in my mind, I have in my head, like, oh, there's all these other things we want to cover, then yeah, I would have just looked at like, because I haven't read, I just read the complaint live. I had not read it before, or I read like the first page, before we got on here. Um, so
okay,
I would have just like kind of skimmed through it a lot more. I was just like, oh, I know you on the stream for 2 hours. I don't know what else I didn't think we were doing anything else today. So
okay,
that's why I'm just reading through it.
okay. I guess we're right on schedule. Just
Right.
miscommunication. I was interested in like some election stuff, but I feel
If there's
like
something you want to talk about, we can go an extra 15 minutes or so.
well, no, I feel like the thing that I'm always interested in
Yeah.
is like what's going on with the election. So
Okay. What's going on with the election?
there's like, what did I put in the thing here? Election news. I put election news, GOP shakeup. So like the
Okay.
things that I put in the title, we haven't even dived into.
If there's an election thing you want to talk about, find it while I read the super chats. Okay.
Let's just do super chats and we'll worry
Okay.
about the other stuff tomorrow.
William Griffith for 2 months says, longest commitment of my life. The 2 months being a member. Thank you.
Yes.
M8566 for 2 months says, is it fair to say that the right often argues with logic while the left argues with emotion? Something I've noticed when talking to people. Thoughts? I would say that that is not accurate. So this would be my assessment of this. when someone has logic on their side, they argue with logic. When they don't have logic on their side, they don't argue with logic. That seems to be my sort of interpretation of what goes on here. So or also maybe I think there's a disproportionate number of libertarians online who engage in political discourse. And libertarians, on average, I do see tend to try to argue things from a more logical perspective. So maybe I would agree with that as opposed to just like a broad left-right label of things.
I'll tomorrow when we stream, I'll look more at the election news, so I'll be prepared. So I'll actually have some election news.
Okay,
I was kind of thinking that we would look together at the election news and kind of see what was going on, but anyway.
sure. Dwight Baldwin for $5 says Bud Light. Oh, I read that one. It's about Bud Light hiring Shane Gillis. Fondue for $5 says, I am conflicted. Do we, quote, hey now, and harmonica as is tradition, or do we set it aside only to Sunday so they remain holy? Decisions, decisions. I don't know. That's a good question. I feel like I understand it being holy, but I also feel like everyone just has like a thing that like gears them mentally for certain streamers, right? Everyone has like a specific sound effect or a saying. I just feel like hey now and the harmonica is like the thing that mentally gears you for the Sitch and Atom
Yeah,
coming at you,
what was
right?
a super chat? Because I completely disagree. I'm like,
He said he didn't know about, he's conflicted about doing Hey Now Harmonica every day or just
yeah,
for
look, it's
Sunday.
gonna get old quick. It's like it's for special occasions.
I don't think it's a question of getting, first of all, we've been doing it for years. I don't think it's a question of doing getting old. As I said, the way that I look at it is it's like, when you turn on a show and there's like when you turn on a streamer, they have like that little music cue. They have that little like intro thing that just gets you, your brain goes, I'm now watching like this streamer, right? And that's what the Hey Now is. And that's what the
I
harmonica is.
completely disagree, but so
Okay.
here's the
If you don't
Jennifer
want to do
Crum
it, yeah.
I don't, but
Okay.
the Jennifer Crumbly Michigan, are you following that? That's another thing. Like my thinking is people want to tune in and look, we're obviously talking about the show. You guys can leave us your feedback in the comments. I'm thinking like there's 3 or 4 news stories everyone's talking about. Like the Jennifer Crumbly case is a perfect example. And people want to get our take on these cases. They want to, they see us as smart people that we usually have an interesting perspective that not many other people have. So they're going to tune in daily to get our take on the Jennifer Crumbly thing if it's relevant. And if we're spending all of our time doing reading a bill, look, the reading the border security bill, I think was important. So that's like just a special case.
Right.
I don't necessarily know that reading all of this bill is important. Do you have a take on the Jennifer Crumbly? So Michigan gunman's mother found guilty of manslaughter. Do you know this case?
I don't know that much about it. So I don't
Okay.
know if you want to talk about it tomorrow or talk about it now, but
Do you know the bare bones of it?
no. I
You know
know that it
nothing
was
about this case.
I
Okay.
know a person did a shooting and then they got a guilty verdict on the mother for something about the child having a gun. That's all I know about it.
Yes. Well, the controversy is she bought her son a handgun and the son did a school shooting. And during the trial, they had a bunch of evidence that really could have been viewed either way. Could have been she claimed in the trial that she thought her son was just joking around like you and I might joke around about doing things that we probably shouldn't do, but obviously we're not going to shoot up a school. So, but he did end up shooting up a school and I think he killed 4 people. So they found her guilty of manslaughter, which is obviously not murder, but I'm sure it's like involuntary
So wait, so
manslaughter.
did she get him the gun, or it's just that she heard the jokes about this and didn't take it seriously?
I think his father got the gun, but she knew that he had the gun and yes, and didn't take the jokes seriously. Thought they were jokes.
What was what was says she's facing up to 15 years in prison and be sentenced in April.
The thing that I think people will want your take on
Hmm.
is is it acceptable to charge someone in this case? Is it acceptable to convict someone? I guess you're going to say like it depends upon what the law is, obviously,
Well,
but
no, so well, okay, I
I
don't know
guess
what the law is,
we're
obviously.
talking morally here.
But from the moral perspective, well, I would still say it depends because here's the thing. I would have to know, like, what was the evidence that the jury was shown in terms of, like, what was the quote joke that was being made, or what evidence should she have noticed that she didn't notice that should have tipped her off? Because I can imagine in my head a scenario where a mother or father would be completely, I don't think, would be responsible for their child doing an action like this. If the kid's like, "Oh yeah, LOL, I'm gonna like go shoot up the school with a gun you bought me," and they're like laughing, and there's some context to which
I don't
not
none of it
applicable,
was
right?
that. None
Right.
of it was that.
Or I could see in a scenario where it's just like the kid seems really distraught and is like talking about like, "Oh, I think I'm gonna like go through with doing some crazy shit," and you're like, "Oh," and they're saying this multiple times. You're kind of like, "Oh, like maybe I should have been paying attention to them," right? So.
I think I watched a little bit of the actually I didn't watch any of the trial. I watched some of the trial highlights that they had on one of the one of the channels. And the joke was that he believed the house was haunted. Their house was haunted. Like they would
Mhm.
joke around about the house being haunted and they were trying to spend this in he has mental illness that she never investigated. And she basically said, well, look, I thought he knew the house wasn't haunted, that he was just joking around about it. So it wasn't even really about a school shooting
Oh,
or
okay.
anything.
So it wasn't about the action. It was just that he should have. They're saying that he hallucinated, and she didn't do anything about his hallucinations.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
And she's
again, I would
claiming
have
that,
to. Right.
yeah, if I said those kinds of things, like if I started talking about how our house was haunted, like you just assume I was joking about it, obviously.
Right. So again, it would be the same problem. It was I would have to look specifically at like what were the statements they're saying that he said in
Hmm.
order to determine that she should have known that these were not him joking about the haunted houses. Because I mean, I don't know a single person in my entire life who has not joked about their house or a property being haunted because like they hear a weird noise or a toilet flushes when no one's there or something to that effect, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I would have to know specifically what he was doing or saying.
I was actually quite surprised that she got convicted, to be honest with you, from the clips that I was listening to.
Hmm.
So she took the stand in her own defense. She seemed credible to me. So, yes, it was quite surprising to me, but I don't know the details of it. We can look into it more.
Yeah, I would be curious to look into it more just to see to have like a good take on this because I would I would think like if I'm on the jury of this case. I would have to feel like there's such strong evidence that this parent was like so fucking stupid and
Yeah, so
neglectful,
negligent.
like that for me to rule this way. Because
They
obviously,
also
the anguish of having your child do this action is like so horrific already to the parent anyway. It's not like they're getting off scot-free as it is.
I saw her questioned by her attorney. I didn't see the prosecution cross-examine her though, which I'll probably end up watching that later today after we do this, just because I am curious what the cross-examination was.
Right, right. Interesting.
So
Okay.
there's also people are talking about this Nikki Haley loses to none of these candidates. Biden wins easily. Like she lost in Nevada?
Um, I don't know.
President Biden easily won in Nevada Democratic presidential primary on Tuesday, while former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley, the only major candidate on the Republican ballot, trailed none of these candidates. Former President Trump, who did not compete, is participating instead Thursday in the Nevada GOP caucus, where the state's nominating delegates are at stake. Oh, so maybe it's just like a straw poll or something. I don't know. People are talking about this as
Wait,
well.
there was a Republican primary in Nevada yesterday. Okay.
Okay.
Right? And there's an option on it and I guess it said Trump,
Or
Nikki Haley, and then it said none of these candidates, right?
right.
And they're saying that the option none of these candidates got double the amount of votes that Nikki Haley got in
Okay.
the
So
Nevada Republican primary.
so that is a story. But did Trump win? Did Trump like what is this
Let's
caucus
see.
thing?
I'm assuming Trump won. It doesn't say
It's
in the article I'm reading, but
former President Donald Trump, who did not compete, is participating instead Thursday in
oh,
the
interesting.
Nevada GOP caucus, like
Oh, this is they did the primary caucus thing where they
split thing.
separate. Yeah, okay. I wonder.
Yeah. So I don't know if
Interesting.
this is. Yeah. So people are talking about this as well. So
Well, I
maybe the thing
mean,
to do is to hit you in the morning with like these specific stories we're going to talk about. I do notice it.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. I do notice that you. I think we talked about everything you hit me with. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Just hit me with whatever you want to talk about.
Okay.
Hit me with your best shot.
I do think people will be more interested if we cover more stories for shorter amounts of time. So
I agree.
yeah.
Um, Christian Baller for $20. Thank you, Christian. Says Adam, in your opinion, what are the top five issues facing the country and in order? And for both of you, if you could have a single policy of your choice passed, what would it be? Ooh. Hmm.
Top
Single policy.
top 5 policies. I think probably people not being able to support a family on one income, I think is huge. Uh, housing being like kind of tied to people's retirement in a way that prevents more houses from being built and creates higher cost for housing. I think high cost housing is a problem. I guess I'd have to think for 5, but those are probably
Mhm.
the 2 big ones that is
Right.
should wokeness.
Sure.
I'm not sure. Like the trans stuff, I think maybe a year ago I would have said that because I do feel like a lot of young people are just being duped into embarking on a life that's not going to end well for them. So I do think the trans stuff is kind of coming into line now that I don't know if you read the article that they printed in the New York Times.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah. I
That was
didn't,
interesting.
what was it? I didn't read it.
It was an article that was basically the New York Times coming out saying that, there are people that transition that regret it and that the mainstream, including the media and themselves, have done a really piss poor job actually covering it. And a lot of those people are just attacked and their story is not really getting out. So I'm
Nice.
happy New York Times was covering that story. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, finally. So, yeah,
Right.
no, I'm definitely, that's one of them. But I think finally there's some change on that.
I mean, I
I
would put
guess
wokeness just overall. I do think that is an issue that I'm worried about the younger generation. Are they going to grow out of it, or is it just going to be something we have to deal with now for like the next 50 years?
I, but I agree with you on wokeness, but I was just trying to think how wokeness tangibly affects
Right, a
society. Like you
specific
might be able to
policy. Yeah.
say meritocracy, like
Right.
like basically, and the whole movie entertainment video game stuff, I think is just it's the manifestation of this failure in the meritocracy
Hmm.
due to wokeness.
Right.
And you worry that all of a sudden that's going to move to medicine, right? It's
Right.
like, it's one thing when it's in entertainment and we just have to deal with all the shitty movies. It's another thing when your doctor doesn't really know what they're doing. Yeah.
Hmm.
When your Star Wars writer doesn't know what they're doing, that's completely different. So, but I guess we can move on.
Right.
I feel like I completely killed the vibe on the stream.
It's okay. Spencer Harmon for $20 says, all I ever wanted was to be a part of the stream. Oh, one more thing. Don't forget to like it too.
Oh yeah,
Thank you,
yeah.
Spencer.
He's saying I was using his super chat. to tell people to like the stream. So
Oh, yeah, nice. There you go. Thanks,
yeah.
Spencer. Buster Philly for 17 Donkey Kong dollars says, I, for one, love these extra streams. Well, thank you, Buster. Appreciate it. We're
Yes.
only going to do it if you guys like it. That darn Kiddeth for 11 months. Hey, says, hi, Wormy.
Hi.
Libertarian Sasquatch for $2 says, after reading that introduction cringe, I'm rooting for Disney. There you go.
Wow.
Terrible. Moondoggy for $5 says, if they're willing to write this, I expect to see a themed courtroom, a forced chokehold when someone objects. That'd be pretty
Oh,
based.
that would be badass.
Right. Dan Schneider for $10 says, even if Gina had made that comparison, that wouldn't be anti-Semitic. It would just be a stupid false equivalence. Anti-Semitic means you hate Jews, or do Nazis make anti-Holocaust analogies? Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I don't understand how people were saying it was anti-Semitic, but they were. It made no sense whatsoever. And Dan Schneider for another $5 says, if someone made a false equivalence to slavery, you wouldn't call them pro-slavery or say they hate black people. True.
Yes.
Chewbacca's Lovers for $2 says, why did Sitch block me on Twitter? Love his tweets. I don't, who are you on Twitter? I don't, is your name
Chewbacca's
Chewbacca
lover.
Lover? I don't remember
Is it Han
seeing or
Solo?
blocking it. Is it Hans? Is that the answer to the question?
Is it Han Solo on Twitter?
I haven't blocked anyone named
The
Han Solo, I don't
word
believe.
on the street is Sitch blocks people who annoy him. Well, I block people who annoy me. So
I mean, I block people who annoy me. I block people who seem like they just hate follow me. I
yeah.
block people who lie about me without
Oh yeah.
recourse.
Look, I
So,
block all those as
sure.
well. Yeah. I this whole trying to shame me for blocking you thing, I just look, if there was a mistake, and I think the thing to do is just not be a dick to begin with, and then we don't have to dig in and find your account and unblock you, right?
Right.
Like
Yeah, just don't
just
be a dick on Twitter. It's really weird if you like us to be a dick to us on Twitter. That's a
no,
very
it's not
bizarre
though.
thing.
Here's what happens, Sitch.
Right.
A lot of times people they they're a dick because they think we know that they're a fan and that they're just joking with us. So a lot of times you can read things, you're like, if this is a fan, this is obviously a joke and it's funny. If
Hmm.
it's not a fan, this person hates my guts and I should block them. So a lot of times I do just assume it's a fan and that they don't hate me. It's when I see them do it like 17 times. I'm like, okay, well, not, this isn't like jovial joking around with me. This person hates my guts. Right.
Right.
And then I block them. So
Chewbacca's Lover for $20. Thank you. Look at this. Trying to buy me off to unblock you. He says, I'm Chewbacca's Lover on Twitter. I'll look into it. I don't remember blocking you.
well, that actually makes it worthwhile.
This
Look,
must have been a long time ago, so I'll check it
for
out.
$20, I'll
I
unblock
know.
anyone.
There you go. Listen, I can be bought. There you go.
Well, you definitely pay for the time to look into it. So.
I'll look into it.
Casey Anderson for $5 says Roseanne is interested in getting involved in the lawsuit. Boy,
That's
that
funny.
1 year statute of limitations is a bitch.
For defamation stuff. Yeah.
Elon asked if anyone else wanted to join the lawsuit. She retweeted and said hello. Yeah, I'm sure. This is the thing. Gina Carano said, this was in some of the articles. She said that she responded on Twitter and that Elon Musk had not contacted her until very recently, like maybe just a few days ago, to say, yeah, they're moving forward on this. So they examined her case extensively. And if they didn't want to move forward on her case, maybe they wouldn't have even contacted her, right? Why would they contact her and say, oh, yeah, we looked into your case and you don't really have a case here? Like, why would they do that, right?
Right.
Yeah. So maybe they are looking into Roseanne's case. So, or maybe they did look into it and they said, we don't stand a chance. Not sure. Nomad for $5 says, look, if Gina identifies as beep, boop, boop, bop, or bop, boop, who is Disney to question her? Very bigoted and privileged of you, Disney. Tisk, tisk, tisk. I completely agree, no man. Midas Matthews for 11 months says Sitch means he would let her take him in a fight. Is that true, Sitch?
In many ways.
Right?
In many ways. Okay.
This, the question is, if she gives you a boo boo, will she kiss it and make it better? Right? That's what you got to ask.
There you go.
Like, where do you want to hit me?
Hmm.
Bob the Hun for $10 says, in my mind, the strongest argument is all of the inflammatory things leftist employees at Disney have done without discipline. Even people on the fence will probably be won over by that. Yeah, this is why I think, and look, like I said before, if I was Elon Musk, I would definitely make my help in this case contingent on her not agreeing to any out of court settlement. Like my goal would be to get her on the stand in front of a jury. And that's the real win, because then public opinion starts to shift when everyone realizes the blatant unfairness that is taking place here. Look, half this country is, I mean, you could argue more than half the country is conservative.
Hmm.
So, yeah, look, I think conservatives are getting a bad shake, and all just because of just for political reasons. People want to spin conservatives as Nazis so that people won't vote Republican. That's to me, strikes me as blatantly unfair and bugs me a lot. Maybe that's the biggest problem.
What?
Liars, people
Oh.
being lying
Yeah,
pieces
but you
of
can't really
shit.
do a policy. I agree with you, but it's hard
Yeah.
to do policy, for that.
We got to change it culturally.
Right. True. Good luck.
Bob the Hun for $5 says, even if she has no case, just showing a jury the worst things employees have said without getting fired should be enough for them to give her the win. Well, look, I don't necessarily think, even if she loses a case, that could be more helpful in establishing some kind of political action. Think about it. If everybody's out there going, what they did to her is so unfair, and then the jury comes back and says, well, according to the law, what they did was fine, everyone's going to be like, wow, the law is completely unfair. We need to change it.
Hmm.
It's weird to me that you can discriminate based on political beliefs and you can't discriminate based on religion. Because the argument, whenever I say it's not fair for people to discriminate based on political beliefs, everyone always says, well, people can change their political beliefs. You can't change your race. You can't change your sex.
You can change your religion.
You can change your religion. Yeah.
Yeah.
So why can't you discriminate based on religion? Why is that different than political position?
It's not based, I don't think it's based on immutableness. It's based on what is like historically have been people in America been
Oh, that's true.
wrongfully attacked for, right?
That's a good point.
And
Yeah.
so like, yeah, I mean, political ideology could definitely become part of it if there's some kind of something happens.
Yeah. Do you want me to keep going? Am I?
So I don't know. I found Chewbacca's lover in my block
Oh,
list.
okay.
I unblocked you. I don't know why. I don't know why you were blocked because I can't even see any posts that were like interacting unless you delete them all. Um, and it was weird because I saw there were some people in my block list who were like big accounts that I'm like, I never blocked this person. So now I'm kind of wondering what's going on here.
Really?
Yeah, I saw some like big accounts that I follow that were somehow blocked in my block list. So I'm wondering if some wacky shit is going on. So I don't know if you're blocked on Twitter by me, maybe it was by mistake or something. So let me know.
Wow.
Very weird.
Now you're making me think I should check.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
Very
wonder.
strange.
Calvin Pafford is a free will seeker for 8 months. Says, what if it came out in Discovery that Gina does, in fact, have a Pen 15? What a twist.
There you go.
I love the new season on Elon. What's a Pen
A
15?
penis.
Oh, okay. I guess.
There you go.
Pen 15. That's what I was thinking. Like when I said, if you put pronouns in your bio and you have a strong jaw, and all of a sudden your dating opportunities drop off. Well, maybe her dating opportunities will skyrocket, but once they come down, once the pants come off, they'll be disappointed. They'll be like, "Oh man, I
Zero
thought."
Fox says, did you see Greg Lukianoff testify at the Select Subcommittee of Weaponization of the Federal Government? I didn't, but I'll check it out. Thanks for letting me know. That just
Yeah, that
sounds like
would
it
be
could be
cool.
interesting. Yeah. Fondue. Or no, wait.
Dotems.
Where are we?
Dotems for $5 Aussie. A
There you are.
wild horse-sized duck
Yeah.
has survived decades of encounters with bears. The only predators large enough to hunt them, I would I wouldn't be so confident as Sitch. Yeah, see. Look at
That's not
that.
true, though. They only existed because they never had to interact with humans until recently. Okay. So that is a false statement of fact, sir.
Well, if you give me a tank, look, I'll take
Wow.
out the horse-sized duck. But I
Okay.
just look, give me a crossbow even. I don't you're saying just barehanded.
If you don't think a bear could take out a horse-sized duck, then we're having a different conversation. The real Haltonator for $5 says, I appreciate you both sharing our border cross plans with Dev yesterday. Hope you're both doing well. Thank you.
Yes.
That's,
Thanks.
that's the judging people on the basis of hotness to get into this country.
Look at J Max mad at me now.
JMac for $20. Thanks so much. JMac says, Adam, be kind to your autistic work wife. He has needs and you got to respect that. Wow. I mean, I think if anything,
True.
this shows that I'm the work husband and Adam's work wife. But whatever. It's fine. Thank you, Jay, for the $20.
I could look, I completely disagree. This is like when your wife is reading the menu for the fifth time and you're like, "Can't we just fucking order the dinner
Mm,
already?"
okay.
Like, what the heck?
I think it's like when you're trying to tell a girl about the intricacies of Warhammer 40K, and she's like, "Listen, I don't care about your nerd shit. All right, I want to watch cooking shows. I don't want to listen about 40K and Star Wars."
I guess you're right. This could be spent either way.
Yeah, yeah,
Could
there you
easily
go.
be spent either way.
Yes.
Sitch looks at legal briefs like you look at 40K. He's like, "Oh my goodness, a
I'm
legal brief.
excited.
Oh, look at this.
Yeah,
Every detail. It's going to
right.
be beautiful."
Yep.
We did give this is another reason why I was getting a little triggered, because I do feel like I watched a bunch of coverage of it, and I do feel like we covered things like no one else covered, but the length of it will just no one will watch it. So
Okay.
the interesting things that we said will not get out into the ether, and everyone will continue
Well,
to say that.
listen, I'm just trying to find things to fill the time. If you have other information to fill the time, you just let me know.
I'm trying to create good content.
I
That's my
understand
goal.
that, but I don't
Yeah.
want to just sit. So you know what's
Just
not good
filling the
content?
time.
I know. No, 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 no. Listen,
You and I fighting is good
I
content.
know.
Okay. That's like the best content.
Yeah, I know. But what isn't good content, which is what I why if you had said that you were other things you had prepared to talk about or want to talk about, I would have just stopped, which you didn't say, is because I think what makes bad content is like, oh, okay, that was all we were gonna say about Gina Carano, and then we just kind of stare at the chat because I don't know what else to talk about, right?
Well, look, I figured we would talk about other stories or
I
something.
know, just let me know. Communicate.
We could look them up.
Relationships, Adam, as my
I
work
did
wife,
look, I did
relationships are built upon open communication.
I did say we need to wrap this shit up, babe.
Yeah, but I thought you were talking about time.
I was saying, look, we need to wrap this fucking shit
For
up.
time. You weren't saying because I have other things I want to talk about.
Right. Anyway, this is the
Anyways,
best part of the show.
this is
Everyone loves
keys.
it. We
Keys.
could we could officially stop talk about this after the stream, but it's more fun to talk about it in front of you
There you
guys.
go. Keys for 1 month. Thank you so much. Says, is Adam high? Probably.
No, of
Probably.
course not. I never get high on stream. I do look. We streamed for 4 hours yesterday, and I worked for 8 hours after we streamed. So
Hmm.
I have look. I have a lot of things that I'm trying to get done here, and so yeah. Look, I want to stay on a schedule.
True. Hail the free voice for $2 says, talk about Anthony Mayorkas impeachment. His name is spelled really weird, so I don't blame you for misspelling it. But
What? Yeah. What's going on with that?
the impeachment failed, which is so it's kind of like an embarrassing thing. It's not like a big deal, but it's kind of an embarrassing thing. The Republicans were going to impeach Mayorkas for claiming that I guess for claiming he wasn't doing his job regarding protecting the border. And then they couldn't even get enough Republicans to actually vote that they had four Republicans who joined the Democrats and voted against the impeachment, so it didn't even get out of the House,
That's hilarious.
which is pretty funny. Like
That's
people on the left are
hilarious.
like dancing around saying like, "Oh my God, this is such a like utter annihilation to the House leader," which I mean, it's embarrassing. I don't think it matters like in terms of like a substance way, but it's just an embarrassing thing. So I mean, obviously, I think I haven't been looking into it too deeply because the whole thing seems like obviously just political nonsense. But it doesn't seem to me to be any sort of merit to the claim whatsoever. This is kind of goes, and this is kind of what you were talking about, Spencer. Um, and you sent me that article, which I kind of did skim through about like, are there laws in place that the government is intentionally not following that would like quote lock down the border more. And I haven't really seen anyone lay out exactly what those laws are in terms of like what is the government not doing to lock down the border. And when I kind of look, whenever I see someone talk about it and then give an example, it just seems kind of nebulous or vague and definitely not something that would hold up in court or be worth an impeachment, in my opinion.
I saw people were going after Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House.
Right.
And I kind of looked, but I couldn't really see what they were talking about. Mike Johnson is having a MAGA meltdown over the border deal. Is it over the border thing that people are attacking him for?
Well, I mean, he's against the bill.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So
But
okay,
that's
so
it.
I guess. Well, he's against the bill, and then also people are mocking him for not being able to get the impeachment thing
Oh, okay.
passed, right? So
So it was. He tried to impeach the head of the Homeland Security, Department of Homeland Security, and it failed.
right,
Right. And he
yeah.
looks like a big old idiot.
That's what they're saying. They're saying he's stupid for calling a vote when he didn't actually have the requisite votes to pass.
That is stupid. You
Yeah,
never. Yeah. He- That's yeah. No, don't do that.
my Johnson. That's right. Cheerful Cynic for $20 says, "Hey guys, I'm trying to understand your pro-abortion position. Every clip I've seen you talking about it, you guys go to the Tim Pool. It's complicated. Shouldn't you have more caution if you think the topic's complex?" I, I don't know. I feel like we talked about it a lot.
And
I
look,
don't know.
this is the. It is not complex.
Yeah,
The topic is not complicated at all. Sitch and I both have the same position that the cutoff should be when the fetus gains consciousness. And that
right,
usually happens at around, I think, 15 to 20 weeks. And I'm just like, I don't know, 15 weeks, be conservative about it, right?
right,
Yeah. So what's so complicated about that? Like like a conscious thing versus killing a house plant
right. Yeah,
is like not complicated.
I mean, that's essentially my position is it should be consciousness. Consciousness is generally where we kind of draw the line of like because when you're talking about abortion, you're talking about the question of where does a person's right to their own bodily autonomy, where do we say that that's secondary to the life or potential life of the or bodily autonomy of the fetus inside of them? And so I say that that cutoff is when that entity has consciousness. And before that entity has consciousness, or what we as humans describe as consciousness and higher, some kind of higher brain functioning, that's the cutoff. And then before that, it's then the right for a person's own personal bodily autonomy is more important. So
Yes.
that's my
Yeah.
position.
I do understand that people try to make it more complicated by saying, but what about the potentiality of consciousness? And I think that's needless complication. Like it
Right.
doesn't change my argument at all.
Yeah, the potentiality, I find that incredibly not persuasive at all in any regard whatsoever. So Mithram 6 versus 200 Kazark says Blunty Fly and Sitch really carrying the stream today for shame, Adam. Wow.
What happened? What did I do?
Wow.
I did get a little triggered, but
That's okay. We forgive you.
people
Because you
love
got
it
that
when I
orange
get
jacket
triggered.
on. I do like
Oh
that
yeah.
jacket.
I saw
Fondue.
this jacket and I fell in love with it instantly.
Is it like raining crazy still in California, or is that
It
over?
is not raining now, but it has rained 4 days. Like I have not been able to go outside for 4 days. It's been
Wow.
raining that bad.
Hope
Yeah.
you're not like flooded out or anything.
No, we're fine.
Okay, that's
But
good.
there are a bunch of, I did see a bunch of clips on the news of like how trees coming down on cars and stuff like
That
that.
sucks.
Yeah.
Fondue for $5 says, by the way, no mention of the possibility that Elon might be looking to buy Disney. Win or lose, Disney gets softened up. I did see that. I that's like never gonna ever happen. But I
Like,
think
how would
he was
that
just
even,
joking. Yeah.
how would that even work? I just, like, what is the valuation of Disney? Didn't he pay 4 billion for Twitter? It's funny
Um,
too. Look, I follow the stock market. I trade stocks. The A lot of the commentary on Disney, don't get me wrong here. Look, I fucking hate Disney too. Disney's, I don't know what they're doing. They're in charge of a lot of very valuable properties and they can't even get their shit together to make the value go up. So I'm
I
no
know.
Disney fan, right?
Right.
But they do have a huge theme park business, which tends to make more money than their movies do. Like right now, movies make less money than video games. So the fact that their one Star Wars IP is shit is not going to bring the entire company down. And I think the stock is up. Yeah, look, the stock is like massively up. In the last month, it's up 10%. So it's like when a lot of people talk online about Disney is going to die, I think, okay, well, I don't think you're following the stock price.
Hmm. Well, it's interesting. Yeah, it's going up. It hasn't reached like their 5-year record high was in 2021, probably because of the pandemic and Disney Plus and everything. And then it was at like almost 200, and then it kind of dropped back down. But yeah, it's going back up. It's regaining. But it says Disney's worth about 181 billion dollars,
Yeah, see, that's what I was thinking.
and
Like,
Elon's net worth is 194, and that'd only be like billion. That's if he like liquidated everything. So I don't see how it's possible for him to buy Disney. I'm
he would
assuming he
have
was
to
just
sell,
joking.
yeah, you'd have to sell Tesla.
X, yeah, and Tesla and
No,
everything.
X, look,
He'd have to sell everything to buy it. Yeah.
X is
So
peanuts. $4 billion is peanuts compared to that.
that's true.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
wonder.
that's he just. I'm assuming he was just joking, but okay. RBGH fan for $5 says, "What are your thoughts on religion being covered under discrimination law, but not political views when they're both inherently ideological?" Yeah, so I mean, to me, I guess it would be, as I said, I think it's really dependent on just what goes on in our country. And if we do have some problem, and I speculated about this in the past when wokeness was like at its peak, then maybe we do have to start seriously considering political ideology as a protected status, because of the way like cancel culture was working everything. So I don't know. I'd have to really sit down and think about it. I wish I could give you like a really strong yes or no, and I don't have one yet. I'm still in kind of this, I'm not sure.
Yeah. It's just
Uh,
the troubling thing when we're talking about whether or not companies can discriminate based on political beliefs. I mean, there's some political beliefs I feel like you should discriminate against, right?
mhm,
Yeah.
right.
I mean, if you're trying to say, you want to turn pedophilia into a sexual orientation, I'm like, maybe get fired. Like, right? I mean,
Mhm,
somewhere you have to draw the line.
right.
So there is this thing called the Overton window, and there are some things that are like outside the Overton window that you'd think you don't want people in your company basically advocating for slavery or shit like that. Come on now, right?
Mhm.
You disagree or
No, I agree with you.
okay?
Spencer Harmon, oh no, Real Wholesaler for $2 says you can change your gender. There you go. That's true.
You can. Good job.
Spencer Harmon for $10 says, Sitch, did you read the article? Yes. Maybe we'll talk about it tomorrow because I don't know if we have time now. There's an article Spencer sent me that was about It's titled "Biden isn't enforcing immigration law because he thinks it's inherently inequitable." So thank you for sending me that article.
Bring it up. I don't care. Look, I'll go another 30 minutes. I'm cool.
I don't know if I can go another 30 minutes, so
Oh, look. Oh, nice. I'm glad I said that
there
then.
you go.
I'm glad I said that.
So
We'll talk about it tomorrow for
yeah, we'll talk
sure.
about it tomorrow. The real Hultz for $2 says, "No, I meant XXing. I meant crossing false asylum seekers. LMAO." Oh, oh, you mean the whole? Oh, I see. You meant like we were saying that you'd have you know men would transition on one side of the border to women to get in and the transit back. Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Okay. Daily Dose for 14 months says, "Hi, did you Tisms ever finish Andor? If not, you need to. If so, thoughts. The Empire is never more alive than when we sleep. S-Class is the best class."
Or
No,
I
we
made
did
some
not.
comments on Andor that people were in the comment section trying to say like we should talk to the EFAP guys and they'll educate us on Andor, which I mean, I got to admit that triggers my I hate authoritarians because I can make up my own opinion on Andor. I don't need to get it from somebody else. I did only watch the first, I think, 2 episodes of Andor, maybe 3. Sitch and I were covering it on his channel. And when we were doing that, I was doing write up summaries of the episodes, just trying to add jokes and stuff like that, and handing it over to Sitch to kind of polish the final draft of the script. And I really, I think there are massive problems with Andor, regardless of what the EFAP guys say. Like the thing that I liked about Andor in the very beginning was it appeared to be a guy who was, searching for his missing sister who had gotten in trouble. And I thought, this is super interesting. This is not your typical rebels versus the empire thing that we've heard a million times before in every single Star Wars story ever, right? So I was kind of hooked on that. Likable protagonist. He's trying to save his sister immediately. Well, that lasted like one scene. And then it fell into the same old story, rebels versus the empire that we've seen a million times before. And he, not only that, he wasn't even really interested in saving his sister. He was more interested in saving his own skin, which I thought made him an unlikable protagonist from the beginning. So, but a lot of people have said very good things about Andor. I think if I went back and I watched the entire thing through, like I said, I only watched 3 episodes, maybe I'd change my opinion. That you want to?
I remember I liked the first 3 episodes, but then again, my expectations for Star Wars properties is so low. And I part of the reason I liked the first 3 episodes because it felt very not like Star Wars at all.
Yes.
Um, but then the fourth episode, I don't know, I just was so bored. I just was like, oh my God. And then I just killed motivation to watch the rest of it. But I should go back and finish it at some point eventually to have like a
Well,
full rounded experience or opinion on the show.
yeah, the boring thing for me was it was just, I mean, like, haven't we seen that? Like, I want to flesh out the world with a different story than rebels versus the empire, right?
I mean, I guess that's the basis. It's supposed to be a prequel to Rogue One about them, who that guy is that
Right.
they're going to use
Yeah.
to steal the Death Star plans and all that stuff. Um, so on the one hand, I agree with you. On the other hand, it's like all Star Wars stuff will probably be forever marred in Empire versus Rebels,
It doesn't
and
have to be.
it doesn't have to be, but it will.
Like, is the Mandalorian? I feel like the Mandalorian stepped away from that, and
Well,
that's
I
why
guess
people liked
that's
it. Yeah, it was about
true.
this total side character. Like, what are Mandalorians? Like, what is their religion?
I guess
It
that's
was
true.
like,
That's a
yeah, it
good
was
point.
nothing
Yeah.
about that. Yeah.
I mean, I didn't think it was very good, at least the season I saw, but that's
Well, the
different.
Mandalorian was
Yeah.
start had a great start, but then it did fall off the. Yeah, it fell off. Like the last season was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And they did the same thing. They replaced the Mando basically got replaced by a strong female character.
Right.
Anyway,
The Wooster for $10 says, Sitch, I disagree about your cartoon opinion yesterday. It can be very useful. For example, when I used to have to write an essay to make a point, now I can just send a stone toss cartoon. Well, there you go. Listen, there are some useful political cartoons and there's some trash ones, okay? So you're right. I should make a universal statement about all of them. JMac for $20. Thank you so much, our circuit father, Daddy JMac. Says either of you play Power World at all, as you two are a gamer and as you two are a gamer and a gamer abridged. I'd be interested in your take on the controversy if you have one at all. I haven't played it. I don't know if I will play it. It does look kind of interesting. In terms of like the controversy about whether it's too close to Pokemon, I say no, fuck them. Anyone can make a game about you capturing little monsters in the wild and putting them in your pocket. Like, is it obviously, is Power World obviously ripping off a bunch of ideas from like a bunch of different games? Yes. Is that illegal? No. Is it even immoral? I don't think so. I think a lot of all art is derivative, and I don't really have a problem with games taking other people's ideas, putting them together, remixing them, trying to make it better. That's kind of just par for the course of human ingenuity. So go
Yeah, I
Power World.
agree. I think sometimes copyright law is far too restrictive.
Yes. Spencer Harmon for $10 says, Sitch, no, send me an article. Also, Sitch, I just skipped it. Dissatisfaction is eminent. Sorry, listen, we'll get to it tomorrow, Spencer.
Yeah,
Listen,
we will.
I want to give it full time, okay? Dan Schneider for $2 says, Nambla will sue your ass.
Yeah, that's about the
Well, that would be the
sexual
problem,
orientation
yeah,
comment.
with the political ideology thing. That's why I said I have to think about it. But then again, because it's like there are wacky religions out there, and it's like what exactly constitutes a religion, right? What exactly constitutes like a political ideology? Not every quote person that constitutes religious belief would be protected, but under our current laws, right? Someone can have a religious belief that it's okay to like do some horrific shit.
Yeah,
So
I think Supreme Court has already weighed in on that. Like
yeah.
if you in your human sacrifice is part of your religion, no, you can't do that. So
Right. Well, yeah, you can't do it, but the question is, would you be protected from being fired if you advocated for it, even if you weren't doing it, like on Twitter, as your religious belief? I
right.
don't think so, but I don't know the answer to that question. WT1F 1A for $5 says, Who am I going to listen to now while I work? I'm going to miss the 12-hour streams. Keep up the good work and praise be foaming. Well, thank you.
Well,
Still
you
listen
guys
to
get to look
us?
forward to us coming back tomorrow, I guess.
There you go.
Look, are we on for 11 tomorrow? Is that
Sure.
okay? 11's good for me.
I hope so. Spencer Harmon for $50. Thank you so much, Spencer. Says disregard the last super. My bad. Oh no, don't worry about it. You don't have to feel bad. You don't have to feel like you have to pay us like $50 for that. But we really appreciate it. But thank you. Uh, Ken for 12 months says it's not just Star Wars. It's Pixar, Indiana Jones, and Marvel that are underperforming. Everything they bought has taken a nosedive. That is true.
Look,
That's
I
true.
1,000% agree. I would like to think it can be fixed. We have decades of investment in Star Wars. It's not gonna. We're gonna retcon some movies or something because we're not gonna abandon the Star Wars IP. Like that's not gonna happen.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's sad that they're not making movies that are bringing in new fans. That's the problem with movies that are just exclusively fan service. Movies have to cater to people who this is the first Star Wars movie they've ever seen,
Hmm.
and they're failing at that task miserably.
Uh, Dan Schneider for $5 says, Have either of you read Darth Plagueis, one of the best Star Wars things ever made? It gives Palpatine an origin that is satisfying and makes sense. Darth Plagueis, that's not a story the Jedi would tell you. But no, I haven't read the spin-off Darth Plagueis story.
I did watch a bunch of videos on the New Republic and stuff like that too. So
Hmm. I'll look up a video. I'm sure there's a video with someone talking about all the good parts of the Darth Plagueis book.
yeah, which
And I
is
could say,
the
I know that
beauty.
book. Someone explained it to me on YouTube.
Yeah, we know the storyline.
Yeah. Fondue for $5 says, What game did you want to make? Yes, says the Power World devs. Accurate. It's a good joke. Academic Agent. Look at that. It's been a long time since we've seen Academic Agent.
He's back again.
He's back
Wow.
again. Look at this. He says for $2, he says, I know I'm late, but I heard you talk to the fat taco yesterday. Even though I am not obsessed with you, you seem to have forgotten that actually people were happier under feudalism, to live as a de facto slave. There you go. That is true. I have heard
That
that that is
sounded like
true.
the real Quackademic Agent.
It did. Did, yeah.
That it?
That's it.
All right. Thanks,
Okay.
everyone. I
See you
guess we'll see you
all.
tomorrow.
See you all tomorrow.
Same time, same place. We'll have 25 news stories for you.
Same kablam time, same kablam place.
That's an amazing new outro. I love it.
There you go. I stole it.